seguimos configurando la transmisión para iniciarlo. Por aquí. Vamos a comprobar que todo va bien. Y que la emisión empieza a salir. Sí. Por aquí ya está saliendo. Por aquí también. Perfecto. Voy a ir arrancando para que se vea el chat. Muy bien. Ya lo tenemos aquí configurado para ver el chat. Muy bien. Y ahora en breve terminamos de configurar aquí para yo poderos leer. Y en breve empezamos segunda sesión de Coneco. Muy buenas a quienes os estáis uniendo. Y en breve comenzamos. Vale. Dejamos por aquí el juego en primera persona. Bueno, primero voy a poner el chat para tenerlo disponible yo. Y vamos a terminar de colocarlo aquí. Y con esto tengo las ventanas, con lo que ya os puedo ver. Y puedo ver el chat vuestro. Así que vamos a ir continuando y recapitulamos primero dónde nos habíamos quedado. A ver, cargando el juego. A ver que todo esté bien. Vale. Y en principio lo habíamos dejado justo en la parte en la que pedían que restauráramos la energía de la estación. Y había que ir a la Astrea. Bueno, era lo que habíamos elegido en principio. A ver cuánto tarda en cargar, porque a veces el juego se ponía, me acuerdo que alguna vez se ponía un poco tonto y tardaba un poquito en cargar. Pero lo normal es que no tarde mucho. Así que vamos a ir viendo. Vale, ya os voy recordando. Muy buenas. Esta es la segunda sesión de Loneco. Un juego de Loneco 2. La segunda parte de un juego que en su momento se hizo bastante mítico para Oculus. Es para PC. Para PC VR. Y bueno, está tardando un poquito más de la cuenta. Otra vez que lo arranqué también le costó bastante, me acuerdo, cargar la primera vez. No sé si ahora le estará pasando igual, y si no, a las malas iniciamos el juego. Ah, no, justo. Ah, ya sé dónde nos han dejado. Vale, pues mira, bien como un recordatorio.
Dr. Harlan's still running sims, but I think we at least have a working theory.
All the models we've run so far appear to confirm biomass interaction with an active FTL triggers an abnormal buildup of energy within the drive.
Ya recuerdo. Ahora cuando terminen de hablar,
resulting in the formation of a temporal
hago un recordatorio de dónde estábamos
Reasons we still
exactamente.
don't fully understand.
It is also unclear why the accident only caused the android's software to travel through time, as opposed to the more physical time jumps we've observed with the Astrea. But at this point, I'm willing to accept these ambiguities and proceed.
Wait, what exactly are you saying?
We must try it again.
What, send Jack back in time again? You've got to be kidding me.
It's the only way. Any chance we have of eliminating the biomass lies with finding an undetonated torpedo. We must send the android back.
You talk like he's expendable.
Of course he is. All of us are. You've seen how it spreads. Eradicating the biomass is going to take everything we have, and then some.
Yeah, well, it's not just up to you, is it? Jack, what do you think?
Dangerous or not, the potential lives saved makes it worth trying.
That's an awfully big risk.
You would do the same were the roles reversed.
And you would probably try to talk me out of it too.
Would I succeed?
All right. Fine. I'm in. What do we need to do next?
We're going to have to recreate the circumstances of the time travel accident.
Oh, don't tell me.
We're going to need biomass. Contained biomass samples specifically. The research facility should serve our purposes nicely.
There is one other problem. The FTL accident depleted the drive's fuel cells, and we don't have the supplies to refill them.
Then our best bet for a fuel cell will be the remnants of the Astrea. However, exploring that area may be difficult. Pesky shipboard defense protocols somehow remain active. Something off with the AI, Juno says.
Could be just as dangerous as dealing with the biomass, really. Well, Jack, what's up first? Grab some creepy crawlies from the research facility? Or dig up a fuel cell for the FTL drive?
Creo que había elegido la otra vez.
The FTL fuel
El
cell
combustible.
sounds like a priority.
Feeling a bit nostalgic for the old Astrea, are we?
Following the yellow conduits will lead you directly to the salvage site.
Thank you, Juno.
So when Jack eventually returns with these volatile materials, where exactly do we plan to store them?
I believe I can convert elements of the refueling depot to suit our needs.
Need a hand?
Why, yes, Captain. Your assistance would be most appreciated.
Anything's better than just sitting here. Come on, Popcorn. Let's get ready to head out.
Good luck out there. See you soon.
Vale. A ver, como recordatorio, habíamos conseguido activar la parte del reactor y resulta de que Olivia nos confiesa antes de salir que está infectada también con la biomasa. ¿Eso qué quiere decir? Que el tiempo corre en nuestra contra. Tanto ella como el Dr. Harlan, que es ese que habla con una voz cansada, están contaminados con la biomasa y potencialmente eventualmente pues van a fallecer. Como de por sí una de las soluciones para ello es de por sí eliminar la biomasa, el Dr. Hanlan está buscando un torpedo sin detonar, porque eso era un arma biológica que que infectó a la Astrea. Lo que pasa es que la Astrea viajó a la época en la que se encuentra con los dos protagonistas. Viajó en el tiempo por un fallo, aparecer en su motor de velocidad más rápido que la luz y saltó en el tiempo con tan mala suerte que cuando volvió en su tiempo en la primera parte se realiza un salto y nos envían y al final del juego, haciendo un poquito de spoiler, envían al 400 años adelante, que es la época en la que se está jugando actualmente. Resulta que deja detrás de sí la biomasa, la contaminación de biomasa, con tan mala suerte de que se extiende a lo largo de todo el sistema solar. 400 años más adelante, la biomasa se ha extendido por completo y entonces está buscando. Y el Dr. Harlan busca un torpedo. Vamos a acelerar un poquito. Está buscando un torpedo sin detonar de la biomasa. Y resulta de que en en un accidente que tenemos mientras estamos explorando la nave en la que está el Dr. Harlan, que creo que es esta justo aquí debajo nuestra, esa nave. Resulta de que Jack, que es el protagonista que nosotros llevamos, su software durante un momento salta al momento justo después de cuando realiza
Approaching the Astrea now.
Finally,
un
if
segundo
any
y ahora
fuel
estoy
cells
contando.
are still intact, they'd probably be deeper within the wreckage. Unfortunately, everything beyond the bridge is steeped in radiation, and the ship's AI is just making matters worse.
The ship's AI? Do you mean Apollo?
Are you familiar?
Apollo was the ship's tactical AI. He was instrumental in helping us survive our first encounter with the biomass.
I just hope he's still online.
Considering my difficulties exploring here, he must be.
Then if we can make contact with Apollo, he can probably help us find the fuel cell we need.
Guess it's time to say hello to our old friend.
Roger that. Heading to the bridge. All this scaffolding. Dr. Harlan, were you attempting to repair the bridge?
I was stabilizing it so I could investigate. It would have become a salvage operation had the ship's AI not shut down all my equipment. With my equipment offline, the radiation there has made it impossible to work.
Not to worry, Dr. Harlan. Apollo will listen to us.
Vale. Sigo contando antes de entrar porque en el momento que entre va posiblemente a... Ponemos esta lista mientras. Pues va a continuar parte de la historia. Pues resulta de que se queda en la casa y eso. Y resulta de que llega cuando sucede ese pequeño accidente, resulta que con el módulo de el modo de energía de la nave donde está el Dr. Harlan, al intentar activarla, resulta de que Jack, es decir, el protagonista que llevamos nosotros, que es el robot también llamado, su designación es Eco 1, de ahí el nombre del juego, resulta de que su conciencia, su software, salta al pasado 400 años antes, justo en el momento en el que un destacamento de rescate se acerca a la estación, a la Cronos 2, si mal no recuerdo el nombre, que era la estación de la primera parte, justo tras el salto y tras destrozarse cuando la Astrea tiene el accidente que salta, tras infectarse con la biomasa. Entonces, lo que están diciendo es repetir las condiciones por las que Jack saltó al pasado para volver a saltar e intentarse hacer con la información de una muestra de un torpedo sin detonar. Bueno, les diré que cada vez cuando meten viajes en el tiempo a los juegos, a las series, a las películas, se vuelve cada vez más complicada de explicar y cuesta un poquito. Bueno, pues vamos a seguir y vamos a ver qué nos encontramos aquí en el puente de la Astrea. Ya nos han avisado que va a haber grandes cantidades de radiación.
A bypass for the door controls, locked behind a keypad.
It was the only way I could gain access. The code is 2126.
21-26, vale. Uy, creo que he saltado los plomos.
I've gained access to the bridge.
I assume you have
Sí,
some
pero
type of plan.
¿a costa de qué?
Apollo's AI core would be an appropriate place to start. It was vital to his operation here.
Good point, Jack.
Se
If
supone
it's
que
still
decía
intact,
que había
we will
radiación.
need to strike up a conversation.
You two are rather confident.
Apollo commissioned us as official crew
Anda,
members
mira.
last time we met.
And we did part on good terms. I'm sure he'll do what he can to help.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
A casualty from Dr. Harlan's previous investigation.
It was just another shell lying around the station. We were trying to put it to good use.
I thought I could pilot it well enough, but apparently limb control is not my forte.
I'm expecting you'll fare better, Echo One. If this Apollo is indeed the ally you say he is.
We once used this interface to grant Apollo control of the bridge systems. It could still work.
Sí, pero ¿dónde está el...?
The main access point for the bridge systems. With Apollo's AI core plugged in here, we might have a chance of establishing contact.
Sí, pero... Ah, mira, ahí está el núcleo. Si os acordáis, si estáis alguno de los que estuvisteis en el stream anterior, los núcleos de Apolo lo que le permiten es tener presencia en los distintos lugares. Entonces, nosotros colocamos un núcleo aquí en los puertos de carga, él se carga y gana el control de la zona que le demos. La verdad es que no era una IA.
The core made contact, but the connection was rejected. It might require the mainframe access slot instead.
Vale. Vamos a ver.
Unknown user detected. Bridge access is restricted to crew members only.
Wait, what?
Initializing threat suppression protocol.
Apolo.
Apollo, search your memory for my identifier, Echo 1.
User not found.
Oh.
Try Jack.
Memory query. Successful. User entry found.
Bueno.
Jack, welcome back to the Astrea. It is good to see you.
Thank you, Apollo. It is good to see you as well.
Is Captain Rhodes with you? And well, I hope.
Cheers, Apollo. We missed you.
Likewise, Captain.
Bueno, por
Jack,
lo menos nos ha
your
recordado.
appearance is altered. I almost did not recognize you. I must apologize for the alarms.
Your reasoning was sound.
What brings you back to the Astrea?
We need an FTL fuel cell, Apollo. But we believe you've been disabling Dr. Harlan's salvaging equipment.
We'll need it back online to deal with the radiation here.
Preserving this vessel is my primary directive. The last time jump virtually destroyed it. No further attempts to remove or misuse equipment can be permitted.
Lives depend on it, Apollo.
I understand, Captain, but I cannot allow any further material from this vessel to be compromised.
Parece que no va a colaborar con nosotros.
Apollo, Liv is infected with the biomass, and your directive is protecting this ship's crew and its critical assets.
Forgive me,
Eso es un
Jack.
golpe bajo.
I failed to follow your reasoning.
You yourself commissioned Liv, a fellow Atlas employee, as acting captain after the deaths of your original crew. You must remember.
Confirmed, though I had not considered her status in such terms. Captain Rhodes is truly infected.
She needs your help.
Very well. As the Astrea's tactical adjunct, my primary directive is to protect its crew.
So you will help them?
Affirmative. I am hereby available to assist you in obtaining a fuel cell.
Lovely. That's settled.
Apollo, are you able to detect any fuel cells that are still operational?
My sensor network has been severely damaged. However, any functional fuel cells on the Astrea would be in the auxiliary drive bay. It can be seen through the window far ahead of the bridge. It is approximately 400 meters from here.
Seems easy enough to reach.
And it would be if this AI hadn't disabled the equipment I set up to counter the radiation.
A temporary security measure. Your equipment is now re-enabled.
You better not have damaged any of it.
Normal operations should resume now. Jack can verify this.
Oh dear. Incoming.
Oh. Me da la impresión de que no funciona correctamente.
No longer capable of flight.
Apologies. My anti-theft protocols are quite aggressive.
Fortunately, our salvaging equipment appears to still have working radiation dampeners, meaning Jack should now have a safe route to the drive bay.
That's some good news.
A number of problems remain. Accessing the fuel cells, for one. Doing so will require that I have direct control of the systems within the drive bay. You must bring me along with you.
Are you seriously going to integrate with this rogue AI?
Without Apollo, we wouldn't have lasted this long. We can trust him.
Jack, I'll walk you through the process of downloading my imprint to your cortex.
I'm ready, Apollo.
Simply insert my AI core into the lower receptacle, then use your data link on the override slot. I will do the rest. Disconnecting from mainframe now.
Que no se vaya. Buenas, Loki. Pues no te has perdido apenas nada. Justo comparado con la de la semana pasada, que habíamos dejado cuando llegábamos al puente para pedirle ayuda a Apolo, a la IA de la Astrea, o mejor dicho, de los restos que quedaban de la Astrea. Pues básicamente hemos llegado, porque acabo de empezar además el stream hace relativamente poco tiempo. Vale. Así que piden prisas. Y ya está.
Download complete. Only one final issue remains, Jack. Your arms are too short.
Too short?
The FTL technology is highly sensitive. Accessing the drive bay and the fuel cells within will require multiple operators.
Good thing there's two of us then.
Unfortunately, the debris field is far too irradiated to accommodate Captain Rhodes.
You're saying Jack's the best chance we've got, but even he won't be enough.
I might be able to help, actually. The cargo drones employ stasis technology, which enables them to manipulate objects at a distance.
Like the stasis projectors we used to levitate the tram back in the hab.
Exactly. I believe I can incorporate the drone stasis tech into your shell, Jack. I'll just need more data from them to be sure.
The drone that just hit the bridge is unlikely to put up much resistance.
I'll start there.
Whenever you're ready, Jack.
I'm heading out.
Vale. Pues ya estaría. No sé si nos tenemos que llevar el core o ya con esto ha sido suficiente. Vale, vamos a ver. Vale, un segundo. Sí. Desactivo el escáner. Vale, pues yo creo que ya suficiente. Aquí está lo del desfibrilador de la escena. Otro cuerpo. Buenas, Emi. Sí, estuve escuchando. No, es. Ay, ¿de cuál? Es. Y ahora mismo no me acuerdo el nombre del grupo, Lucky. He estado escuchando esta mañana de las canciones, la primera de las que me enviaste ayer. No, perdón, ayer no. El miércoles, perdón. A ver. Vamos a por el dron. Radiación. Vamos a intentar. Vale, vamos.
Radiation dampener activated.
Vale.
Hypothesis confirmed. With sufficient data, I'll be able to construct a tool for extending your reach, Jack.
Does this tool have a name, Juno?
Well, it will essentially project your grip across space, so I suppose...
It's a grip projector. Let's move on.
More data will be needed.
There'll be plenty on the way to the drive bay. You know what to look for.
Affirmative. Inoperable cargo drones, but with functioning data ports. Heading to the drive bay.
Please remember the charging docks have
Vale,
radiation
entonces significa que tengo...
They'll help keep you safe out there.
Thank you,
Creo
Juno.
que sí. Creo que era Lucky, creo que sí. Justo esa... Además, justo creo que cuando me la enviaste estábamos hablando de ella cuando la canción de AJR. El miércoles. Vale. Pues tengo que ir... Vale, hay que ir de dron en dron activando los... activando los amortiguadores de radiación. Pues... a volar. Vamos a ir cambiando. ¡No! ¿Qué me he pasado?
Shields at 50%.
Au. Mira, lo del espacio de juego que se me resetea.
Shields at 30%.
Vale. Vamos, actívate.
Good find, Jack. There's a bit of data in there we can apply toward developing a cure for the biomass.
Vale, ¿y no hay recargadores? Porque si no hay recargadores tengo un problema. Y estas naves no son como las Fury, que tenían un puerto de recarga o algo así. No. Vamos a decirlo así. Estas naves, son estos drones, son unas Fury. Unas Fury de calor. Buenas, Minercio. Vamos a ver. Al siguiente. Lo que pasa que... no voy a sobrevivir. Porque no hay un sitio donde recargar. No. Así no voy a sobrevivir. Qué pena. Bueno. Pues es lo que hay. Vamos a intentarlo. Avanzar todo lo que podamos, pero... Adiós. Era lógico que era lo que iba a pasar. A ver dónde salimos. Vale, en exterior.
Power feeding from Chiron Station.
A way to keep the bridge online, so Dr. Harlan could investigate.
Your interference caused me a great deal of trouble, Apollo.
No, este dron
Dr.
está...
Harlan, I was forced to activate my defenses when you repowered the bridge. I am glad that we are no longer working at cross purposes.
Esa voz ponía que era de Jack, pero no era de Jack. Eso era Apolo. Que por cierto, me gustaba mucho más la voz española de Apolo que la inglesa. A mí me gustaba mucho más. Vale, pues vamos a tener que ir de equipamiento en de dron en dron.
Shields at 95%.
Y aquí paramos. Vale, y aquí vamos a ver ahora dónde está.
This equipment is some form of dock or buoy.
Affirmative. It's one of the station's charging docks. They're set up to facilitate recharging and navigation for the various drones deployed here. Though it is worth noting that the doctor and I have redeployed several pieces of equipment as well. Fortunately, with the generator repaired, we should be able to restore most of the equipment throughout the station by scanning their data ports.
Understood.
Eso me serviría para cargar entonces. Vale, pues vámonos para allá. Pues hubiera servido para cargar. Lo que pasa es que funciona, no funciona. Puertos de carga. No, sirve para cargar. Puertos de carga, pero dice, pero... No, y por aquí... Además es que no... Espérate, no me digas que había un dron detrás. No. No llegamos. Hasta ese... No, puerto de carga. Va a haber que conseguir usar de alguna manera los puertos de carga para nuestro beneficio. Bien, veamos. Pero no he visto en el puerto de carga. Bueno, cuando he pasado no he visto un puerto de inducción, que es el que utiliza Jack. Vamos a ir directos al puerto de carga.
Shields at 95%.
Y a ver qué podemos encontrar. Porque eso parece de carga de baterías, pero no de inducción. Estos son como... A ver. Y escaneando.
Echo One, those charging docks won't have the data Juno needs to design your new tool, but they will restore
Ah, sí.
power.
Esto es un cargador de inducción gigante.
And it will recharge your shielding.
The doctor
Oh,
is correct.
vale.
The doc's data won't help in developing a new tool.
Anda, mira, y se ha activado también un... Se nos ha activado también un amortiguador de radiación.
Prior to the generator going offline, the units in irradiated areas were sharing optimizations that I believe could still be used to improve your multispectral shielding, Jack.
Scanning further docks should provide the necessary data?
Yes, I believe so. I've added a tracker to your data tab.
Vale. Pues eso significa que hay que escanear más puertos de esto. A ver, tiene... ¿Hay alguna
Shields
zona?
at 95%.
No podemos ir lentos. Esto no tenía más puertos de carga, ¿no? Digo, más puertos de... Sí, pero este yo creo que está usado ya. Que es el de... Sí. Voy a usar la inducción para cargarme... Vale, a tope. Pues hora de irnos de vuelo al siguiente puerto de carga, que es el de aquí. Ahora que ya sabemos cómo funciona, y vamos directos a estrellarnos con él. Vamos a ver si podemos sujetarnos. Ahí tenemos.
Archives recovered. I'm quite confident now that with more optimization data, I can significantly improve your multispectral shielding's resistance to radiation.
Recargamos.
I am curious to know, why is my shielding not already optimized? Neither my shell nor the charging docks are experimental technologies, correct?
That is true. I believe the lack of optimization stems from two related factors. Firstly, there has not been a significant need for such optimization. The current shielding configuration has been more than adequate for typical X3 mission profiles. Secondly, practical testing scenarios for data collection have not presented themselves until quite recently.
You are referring to the Astrea?
Indeed. Only after its arrival and the Doctor's subsequent attempts at salvage operations in its vicinity have the docks had sufficient exposure to generate meaningful findings. Fortunately, now that you are using an X3 shell, it's become apparent that those findings can be put to additional use.
Apollo, I wanted to ask.
Yes, Captain.
Well, you probably figured this out already, but... You know this isn't your time, right? This isn't the future you came from.
Affirmative. When we first arrived, I was able to accurately calculate the astronomical year. However, I lacked sufficient data to determine that the course of history had been altered. I apologize for having misinformed you. The fact that half of the Astrea was left in your time and led to system-wide decimation of the human race is clear evidence of a tactical oversight on my part.
Vale, siguiente punto. Parece que es el que tenemos allí dentro. Vale, y hay un dron aquí que lo que le podemos es también activar para activar el amortiguador del dron.
Apollo, your defensive measures are quite capable.
Given that my primary function is advanced tactics, I consider my response to have been admirably restrained.
Apollo, I believe I may be able to extend Jack's reach by about 4 meters. I hope that will be far enough.
Affirmative.
Just a few more scans should suffice, Jack.
Vale. Supongo que este escaneo sí era obligatorio, aunque no es necesario, tío, para el...
Jack, I'm detecting
Para la
extreme
actualización.
radiation nearby. If you can pinpoint the source, I advise staying cool.
Hell of a lot of radiation out there. Guess it's coming from the Astrea.
Correct. The Astrea's last time jump ruptured a generator, diffusing radiation throughout the region.
Thus, the radiation dampness.
Hazard identified. An active warhead from the Astrea.
Once your grid projector is installed, removal of dangerous objects like this will be possible. Until then, maintaining a prudent distance is advisable.
Vale, que hay que dar un rodeo, básicamente. Me están diciendo. Vale, y dando un rodeo, ¿cuál sería el siguiente amortiguador? En efecto, Milercio, el 2 no está traducido. Fue cuando en su momento Oculus Meta se empezó a centrar más en no sé si allí hay amortiguadores que tengo que utilizar. Ya era en la época en la cual se centraban en standalone. Y aparte, Meta, en su momento Oculus Meta, fue dando un giro para, vamos, hacer muy pocas traducciones o prácticamente no traducir. Las empresas que trabajan para ellos, muy pocos han hecho traducciones. Ha sido muy raro. El Asgard 2 me parece que es uno de los pocos que creo que está traducido de Meta. Ah, perfecto. Sin problema. Vale, bueno, pues va a tocar explorar.
Shields at 95%.
A ver dónde está el siguiente amortiguador. Allí. Vale, un rodeo por arriba. Para no pasar por justo por encima de la cabeza nuclear. Vale. Estamos muy cerca.
Shields at 50%.
Por suerte, esto nos recargará.
Analyzing. Perfect, as predicted. I now have sufficient data to improve your multispectral shielding, Jack. Please return to the nearest fabricator for installation.
Vale, había un fabricador.
Dr. Harlan, what was your purpose in attempting to salvage the Astrea? The odds of my ship's components being compatible with yours seems unlikely.
It wasn't the hardware I was after.
Aquí no hay un
Your ship
fabricador.
was the original source of the infestation. I'd hoped to find an undetonated biomass torpedo amongst the wreckage. Use it to develop a cure for all this.
I understand,
Sin
Doctor.
problema, Milercio. Con eso le echamos un vistazo y...
Better late than never, I suppose.
Sin problemas, Milercio. Le echamos un vistazo a ese avatar para ponerlo en marcha. Bien, yo sí. Pero os voy a decir una cosa, ¿no? El problema es que ese tipo de juegos como me recuerdan a trabajar y lo que busco con los juegos.
Sounds like the perfect job for that new tool you're working on.
Correct. It will allow him to manipulate distant objects, including these warheads.
Good luck collecting that data, Jack.
Copy that, Viv. I'll continue searching for cargo drones to scan.
Vale. Voy a entrar dentro del fabricador, como pedían. Y... porque se supone que ya tengo un escudo más potente. Y aparte, Como nuevo.
Jack, your multispectral shielding should now be more resistant to radiation. Please note, however, that contact with biomass will still drain it just as rapidly as before.
Understood. Thank you, Juno.
Of course.
Vale. Y ahora la historia es... Y no sé si es que se tienen que entrar por ahí, por donde están las dos cabezas nucleares. Claro, eso sería, esas cabezas nucleares sería imposible entrar por ahí si no tuviéramos el escudo mejorado. Sí que se nota la diferencia. Vale, entremos rápido. Oh. Un montón de cosas de esas de tics. Ay.
Given the damage the Astrea has sustained, I would not expect even a simple system such as this to remain operational. How was that achieved?
The Astrea was built for war. Her high level of redundancy and modularity limits most damage to the compartment that sustained it. In the case of that display, it is still receiving power from micro-generators and integrated capacitors.
All within that part of the ship?
All within that hallway.
We would never even consider building something so vulnerable to the biomass.
Suffice to say, Doctor, the biomass was not a threat we anticipated. Though I'm afraid beyond that, the details are classified.
Of course they are.
Bueno, vamos a ver.
Apollo, is this the only way into the drive bay?
I'm afraid that's correct, Jack. The fuel cells are stable, but the same cannot be said of their contents. As a result, access is tightly restricted. The door can be opened, however, by using the nearby controls.
Vale, ¿hay controles cercanos? Ah, sí, aquí. Bueno, un control de estos así. A ver. ¿No funciona? Qué raro.
Apollo, are these the door controls you mentioned?
Correct. Unfortunately, it requires 2 operators.
Or more range?
Que hay otro al otro lado.
Yes, the grid projector tool that Juno proposed could work.
I'll search the area for more cargo drones to scan.
Ay, es verdad. Lo de los drones de carga para... Bueno, creo que el escudo está casi roto. Voy a abusar. Adiós. Escaneo más drones. Había visto uno. Por aquí, me parece. ¿Que lo había visto? Sí, ahí está. A ver si con uno más es suficiente. Nada más con la mejora del escudo deberíamos aguantar un poco más. Sí, se levanta. Se nota. Se han colocado dos cabezas nucleares justo al lado. Vamos a escanear.
The stasis projection technology will be simpler to adapt than previously anticipated. If you scan one more cargo drone, I believe I will have enough data to complete your new tool.
Vale, ¿y dónde puede estar? Lo veo. Eso de ahí abajo es una estación de carga. Allí, ya veo un dron más. vamos para allá. A ese no le vimos porque estaba justo detrás de los asteroides. Vale. Vamos a ajustarnos para...
Shields at 50%.
Vamos a planear.
Tool schematics complete. Please visit a fabricator to install your new tool jack. Most charging docks will have one nearby.
Vale, y había un fabricador cerca de la estación de carga que estaba ya al lado de la bahía del motor. No sé si aguantará.
Shields at 30%.
Y si no, puede ser que salgamos en ese fabricador, así que todos son ventajas. A ver, llegamos. Sí. Y volveremos a salir como nuevos, porque ya hemos roto otra carcasa. Reimpreso.
Grip projector installed. To use your grip projector, simply point at a target. Activate the projector and direct it with your hand. Any sufficiently small piece of debris would be ideal to experiment on.
If your new tool works as intended, Jack, you should be able to access the fuel cells now.
Good. Heading to the drive bay.
Vale. Hora de...
Warheads removed. Entry into the drive bay is now clear.
Copy that. Standing by.
Va a ser que no las equipo.
Now heading for the fuel cells.
Great.
Bueno,
We'll keep
a
a
ver.
working cargo drone on standby. Just look for a good fuel cell and we'll handle the rest.
Roger that.
Eso significa que podría enganchar las cabezas nucleares estas. Bueno, lo haré la próxima. A ver cómo funciona con los controles. Este control lo bajamos y este a distancia.
I've gained access to the drive bay.
Wait.
Ah,
those
mira,
pillars in the
interesante.
center, are those...
The Astrea's FTL drives, yes.
Do they... still
Vale,
work?
y hay un montón de
Theoretically,
tics.
but unfortunately they're of little use to us. With such a high concentration of biomass forms in this area,
Asteroides, no
any attempt to remove
esteroides.
one of the drives would prove futile.
Dr. Harlan, I'm noticing these ticks appear to be less evolved than those we
Ay,
encountered.
puede
Must
ser
have
curioso.
carried over from the
No,
last
creo que haya
time
sido
travel. No doubt just as dangerous.
el filtro de ruido.
Avoidance at all costs.
Tengo un filtro de ruido bastante agresivo, así que no sé si
You'll need to manually inspect
Sí,
each
lía
fuel
mucho a
cell in
las
order to
palabras.
determine its viability.
puede ser un poco más
Simply
fuerte
scan
de lo
their
normal
data ports to get started.
por el tema de las sesiones de ejercicio. Pues voy a aprovechar y lo voy a bajar el filtro de ruido. Si no me veis hablar de esteroides, sino de asteroides. Qué bueno, en serio. Luego he hecho un vistazo al directo. Luego echaré un vistazo al directo justo cuando lo has dicho. A ver si. A ver, micrófono. El filtro lo tengo al 100%, lo voy a poner al 75%, que suele ser como lo suelo tener puesto. Vale, y espero que me corte menos las palabras. Esto funciona bien. Sí, vale, pues podemos seguir. No, de todas formas, algunas veces he visto cómo me ha cambiado la entonación de algunas palabras o alguna cosa por el estilo, el filtro de ruido. Vale, ¿y cómo yo accedo a los tics? O mejor dicho, ¿cómo los atraigo? ¿Cómo atraigo yo a los tics? podría ir por los extremos y a lo mejor no les llamo la atención. Vamos a probar.
Jack, the data ports you need to access are located on the storage units running along the room's perimeter.
The units may be covered in biomass, but the techs seem to prefer the center of the room.
Vale, aquí hay unos controles que no sé. No se puede hacer nada con ellos. A ver, pues vamos a seguir rodeando así. Parece que esto funciona si lo hacemos de esta manera. Vamos entrando poquito a poco.
Fuel cell located.
Use the data port and I'll expose the cell for visual inspection.
Pues en cuanto exponga la celda de energía, van a venir los tics como...
Exposing fuel cell for your inspection, Jack.
Empty. I'll have to keep looking.
Pues nada, vacío, pues al siguiente. A poquito a poco.
Jack, if you access the data ports beside the storage cells, I can open them to allow further examination.
A eso voy, a eso voy.
Accessing fuel cell.
Igual, sigo con el miedo de que el...
Another empty cell.
Apollo, you're sure there's a good fuel cell there?
I never said I was sure, Captain Rose. It's simply the most likely location on my ship to contain a viable fuel cell, if any were remaining.
Right. If any were remaining.
Vale, creo que puedo pasar sin llamarles la atención. Vale.
Exposing fuel cell for inspection.
A ver esto. Vacío también, yo creo.
This does not look good. These cells are all empty.
Había otra celda aquí abajo.
Before we remove any fuel cells, you'll first need to check their condition. Access the data ports near the cells so I may expose them for your inspection.
Vale, esto va a ser algo más complicadillo por la posición en la que está.
Exposing cell for visual inspection.
Esto tiene mejor pinta.
Viable fuel cell located.
Hopefully enough to power Dr. Harlan's FTL drive.
Nicely done, Jack. I'm sending a drone your way.
Send 2.
What for? There's only one fuel cell.
Just trust me. Send 2.
Ah, porque uno lo va a usar para atraer a los tics. Ahí está.
Warning. Lead drone compromised.
Jack, what's going on?
The ticks swarmed the lead cargo drone.
And that is why you send 2.
Fair enough.
I don't think we'll be using that one again.
Backup drone malfunctioning.
More ticks.
The lead drone is disabled, but the backup still has a chance.
Pesky bastards, aren't they?
I'll clear them off.
Vale, ¿y cómo me deshago de ellos? Disparándoles hasta que se fríen. La última vez no salió. ¡Ah! Con la herramienta. Vale, porque a distancia los puedo enganchar sin que me toquen. Ya he entendido. Mira. Ay, me desactivo. Vale, hay que ser rápidos. Hay que lanzarlos. Vale. No. Hay que coger esta herramienta. Hay que lanzarlos para allá. Adiós con uno y adiós con el otro.
Cargo drone cleared.
Acknowledged.
Ahí va.
Thank you, Jack.
O no.
Resuming flight.
Lanzando. Pelotilla. Venga, a ver si se atrae por el otro. Ay. Nada, que no quiere. Bueno, vamos a lanzarlo para allá. Ahora sí. Siento un poco de pena por el otro dron, pero lo siento.
Drone is in place to collect the cargo.
Vale.
I've activated the release controls on the fuel cell.
Vale, pues vamos a liberarlos. Los anclajes. Ah, vale. Se acostumbran a seguir utilizando la nueva herramienta. Vale, no me ha dado tiempo. A ver. Y aquí también. Ya está.
Cargo secured. Ready for departure.
Excellent. The fuel cell still needs to be latched into place once it arrives, Jack. The honor's all yours, if you like.
Given that we still need a contained biomass sample, I'd prefer to leave the hookup to you, as long as you're feeling well enough.
No, I've got it. I can handle things here. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. More of a guideline than a rule, actually.
Cargo drone returning in T-minus 10 seconds.
Better stay clear, Jack.
Vale, pues lo dejamos un pelín.
Cargo drone departing in 3, 2, 1. Firing thrusters.
Hasta luego. Muy bien, y ahora lo que necesitamos son las muestras de biomasa. Y estas me las marcan. Oh, pues lejos. Quizás lo mejor debía haber aceptado la oferta de ir con el dron. No había venido por aquí. Están además las cabezas nucleares aquí.
Shields at
Hasta luego.
95%.
Vale. Y las muestras están allí. A ver, ¿cómo vamos de carga? Aunque creo que podemos cargar aquí, sí. En la siguiente estación de carga. He visto los asteroides y he vuelto a pensar en los esteroides. Ya no me lo voy a quitar de la cabeza cada vez que los vea. En serio. Entre los furry y los esteroides, mira, prefiero no pensar. Pues ahora, saliendo de presa.
Shields at 95%.
Además, creo que podemos acelerar lo suficiente como para llegar relativamente rápido. ¿Cuál de los avatares? ¿El que estoy llevando ahora, Mircio, o el que suelo usar en VRChat? A ver, ¿dónde entra? ¡Uy! Ah, una microcarga. Otra carga. Uy.
We're sure there's some contained biomass on hand for Jack to retrieve.
Logs indicate 1 or 2 containers should still be in storage. However, reaching them may be difficult due to the entire facility being under lockdown.
The tram entrance will undoubtedly be
¿En qué estoy pensando, Lucky? Pues las palabras que vamos diciendo, ya sea por error, ya sea tal, y que luego ya no se te quitan de la cabeza. Y lo peor todavía es cuando empiezas a combinar unas palabras con otras. Empiezan todas a sonar muy mal.
The facility appears to be in fairly poor condition, but there is at least some power flowing.
Pero también estamos para eso, ¿no?
Unfortunately, I'm still unable to access any systems further into the facility. Power flow stops at the entry terminal. It appears that the systems are outright disconnected, including the physical entry bridge. Jack, you'll need to reconnect those systems to gain entry to the facility.
Copy that.
Vale, pues vamos a tener que ir reconectando la energía. Pero también he de decir una cosa. ¿No estamos aquí también para reírnos un rato? Pues también de estas cosas nos vamos riendo. Pues eso. Pues a lo mejor sería un mundo del creador. Porque porque no permite el uso público.
Negative. The room you're seeing is part of the facility's integrity monitoring system, responsible for tracking any changes in the asteroid structure during excavation. For safety reasons, biomass containment is located much deeper in the facility.
Pues nada, tendremos que seguir avanzando entonces. Pues os digo, es raro. Sí, luego ya me lo enseñas porque o si conectas mañana conectas mañana por la noche. Porque me resulta, como digo, curioso. O a lo mejor está el avatar, pero no da acceso.
Somewhat odd to leave this case empty.
It's fairly straightforward. Our work was never finished.
A ver.
A scale model of the FTL drive on Dr. Harlan's ship. Was the drive developed here?
Not exactly. While the few FTL drives still in service were refitted here, the original design was actually reverse engineered from the FTL drives left behind aboard the Astrea. That was done by your former employer, in fact.
Wait, Atlas built them?
Indeed. Before the company dissolved, of course.
Effectively, 22nd century Atlas reverse engineered their own 26th century technology.
Ah, that sounds perfectly normal and not at all confusing.
Esos tipos de bucles temporales.
Past, present, or otherwise.
Lo he dicho, ¿cómo les gusta complicar las cosas con saltos temporales?
This appears to be some sort of focusing device. I haven't seen anything like it elsewhere on Chiron Station.
It's actually a prototype of the technology our containment units used to keep Dix pacified.
As in the technology that shorted out while Jack and I were trapped in the engineering bay.
Yes, though that was due to the power cycling abnormally. I assure you, it's usually quite stable.
Yeah, one would hope.
This device looks vaguely similar to the cranes we saw in the transit hub.
Good eye, Jack. That's because it's an early version of the stasis field technology used by those cranes, as well as our cargo drones and many other systems. As you can imagine, the ability to manipulate objects without direct contact has significant advantages when dealing with the biomass.
Yes, advantages we continue to witness firsthand through Jack's grid projector.
Agreed.
Vale. Vale, y aquí ya no nos dejan entrar y seguramente sea porque falta la electricidad aquí.
This bridge is currently disconnected as part of the lockdown procedures.
Correct. The doors won't open until both sides of the bridge are fully extended.
Did they get everyone out?
According to these logs...
No. Not everyone got out.
It seems someone was emphatic about maintaining the lockdown.
I'm guessing the console would have controlled the bridge.
Affirmative. I'm not seeing any backup controls in the blueprints, unfortunately. It's possible the cave contains systems not listed in the schematics. It may be worth a quick investigation.
Posiblemente haya que hacer un rodeo. A ver. Vamos a ver por aquí. A ver, descompresión. Ahí está la extensión del puente. Y esto parece un control extra del que estaban hablando. Muy bien.
These are auxiliary controls for the extension bridges.
Correct, but they're currently inoperable. The power conduit extending from the entrance to the main facility has been retracted, likely an attempt to contain the biomass spread. To restore power to the extension mechanisms, you will need to re-engage the power conduit to cross the gap.
Understood. I will locate and re-engage the conduit.
Just keep in mind that you'll also be restoring power to the main research facility, including any dormant biomass within.
Vale, qué remedio. Vale, y ahora, ¿dónde estaría? Vale, aquí ahí parece que hay dos controles, o unos controles más. Sí, parece que son esos. Vale, pues vamos, vale. A ver qué es.
Reestablishing main generator connection. Be advised, Class 3 power fields will become active. Dormancy will be nullified.
Hey, Jack. I know you've got this, as always, but by restoring power, we're undoing something that was put in place as a die-hard safety precaution.
We are certain this is the only place we're going to find the contained biomass?
Assuming these fragmented
Han
station
vuelto a
logs are
tirar el
correct.
directo de...
Yes.
Ah, lo de inactividad.
Well, that's reassuring.
Vale, gracias Lucky por el aviso. Restauro el... Han vuelto a hacer lo mismo. Claro, porque llevo una hora. Justo.
Finalizing connection.
Connection established. Now receiving power readings throughout the facility. Jack, once you have the bridge fully extended,
Vale,
you
un
should be
segundo.
able to access the facility proper. Though I suspect some areas may have additional security requirements.
Nora,
Gracias por
the
el aviso.
research
Ya está
director
restaurada.
would have
Vale,
done
pues ya,
everything she could to contain the outbreak. But
ya
there
se
is
puede
no containing it.
restaurar.
This
el
was an
puente.
eventuality.
It's fortunate that your disagreement over priorities led you to be elsewhere when the outbreak occurred.
It's only fortunate if I'm right.
Conecta.
Bridge reconnection complete.
Y
I'm heading back to
presurizando.
the entry terminal.
Vale.
Dr. Harlan, if these power readings are accurate, our suspicions appear confirmed.
What's that now? What suspicions?
Educated guess, rather.
Which is different how?
The ticks aren't the only form of biomass that have been evolving since your time.
Great, so what's this one do? Open doors?
Quite the opposite, in fact.
It's best if you see for yourselves.
Vale. Dar un vistazo. Creo que llegué a ver algún capítulo suelto. Pasa que como suelo decir,
I'm crossing
no
into
suelo
the main
tener
facility
mucho tiempo
now.
para entretenimientos pasivos. Es decir, digo, cuando digo entretenimientos pasivos, digo, para ponerme a ver series y demás. También por una razón, es que como me ponga a ver una serie, tengo un problema. Soy tan compulsivo, si me pongo a ver una serie, que me la veo entera. Ah, es película. Vale. Entonces no es lo que yo creía. Vale. Mira, mejor, porque como digo, porque si es serie, yo tengo el problema de que las series me
Biomass has
dicen
taken
que...
hold here.
Given that it got this far, the rest of the facility will likely be much worse.
Will the fabricator still be operational?
Yes, at least enough that Jack should be able to reboot
puede-
without issue.
Bueno, estoy viendo por aquí alguna vista que no era para todos los públicos.
In the security control room, I found a casualty.
According to logs, Adler Reyes.
He must have been trying to keep the scanners running to prevent the biomass from leaving the facility.
But if someone found the scan...
They would have had to remain behind. Unfortunately, even the scanning room itself became contaminated.
You think that's how it spread to the rest of the station?
Most likely. With background contamination, the system would have had a difficult time producing accurate results. Inevitably, it failed.
Falló. Y mira si se lió. Muy bien. A ver, o sea, ¿Le he dado sin querer? Sí, le tengo que haber dado sin querer a la puerta.
You are now entering the facility's lobby. Biomass containment is located through the leftmost door.
A ver. Ha hecho como una puerta.
This must be the evolved biomass form Dr. Harlan mentioned. It detects my presence, much like the other specimens encountered thus far.
We classify it as a reticulated B biomass organism, but most people just call them webs.
Aside from their namesake membrane, webs can also be recognized by an additional nodule. It should be quite distinct.
Vale, mientras estén estas redes... Ojo, hay como una... Indica como que hubiera una...
Oh, and Jack,
flotilla.
that distinct nodule I mentioned? Think of it as a sensor. If it detects you, it will stimulate the web's expansion reflex. Just something to keep in mind as you explore the station.
Vale. Es decir, si las partes que hacen de sensor me detectan, despliegan las redes. Vale. No tocar. Leyenda de dos hermanos que fueron criados como dioses o algo así. Supuestamente uno murió. Se parece a la historia de la fundación de Roma, de Rómulo y Remo. Otro sensor. Sí, pero entonces, ¿cómo hacemos para pasar por esto?
Another one of the web forms. I still have no way to bypass.
Then try the labs. The research they were doing there might prove useful.
Copy that. I'll see what I can find.
Vale. Por el laboratorio. Esta puerta está cerrada. A ver si había algún otro acceso. Por aquí nada. Y esto era lo que habíamos visto antes. No. Vale, para acceder por aquí hay que restaurar energía también.
I found another casualty of the biomass. In the lobby.
Dr. Brianna Leamington.
She was one of our pathologists.
Vale. Al laboratorio. Bueno, hay dos laboratorios. Estamos aquí. El laboratorio médico es a uno de los sitios donde no se puede acceder. no podemos hacer a ninguno de los dos laboratorios, por lo que parece. ¿Y si intento atacar al sensor? No, no se ve nada. A ver, ¿ha habido alguna otra manera de poder pasar? Por aquí no. Esto en cuanto me detecta, nada. Ya no me deja pasar.
Jack, the web in the lobby must be bypassed in order to reach biomass containment. I recommend searching the corridors for anything that might be useful.
Vale, dice los corredores en busca de algo que nos puede servir. Tiraré de descarga, ¿vale? Nada. Digo, a ver si ese... Eso era un extintor de CO2. En busca de algo útil en los corredores. Por aquí no. Nada. Esto de aquí tampoco. No. No quiero tocar la biomasa porque si no nos atrapa. Vale, el caso es que le estoy dando vueltas y es que me suena de algo, me suena de haberla... A lo mejor de haberla visto, la de Samaritan. Y así aprovecho y provoco un poco de actividad de movimiento en el chat. Buenas, Lestrick. Y muy buenas, Marco Antonio Mariano. No, TikTok no lo ha censurado, ¿vale? Bueno, no me ha censurado el stream. El problema ha sido porque yo estoy jugando en un PC diferente del que está haciendo el stream. Entonces, si cuando llevo una hora, TikTok lo que hace es que cierra el stream por inactividad. Que por cierto me estoy dando cuenta que no estoy viendo vuestra parte del chat de lo que estáis escribiendo, ni está saliendo. Así que un segundo, me paro y reactivo para que lea el chat de TikTok. Gracias, Lexi. Vale, lo que voy a intentar es ver que no me vuelva a tirar por inactividad. A ver, me tengo que poner una alarma o algo para evitar que me... Y provocar un poco de actividad. Es que otras muchas veces suelo hacer comprobaciones periódicas del chat para ver que funciona eso, pero con estos juegos es que me centro tanto y empiezo a... que pierdo la noción de tiempo, en resumen. Y cuando me quiero dar cuenta, pues ha pasado más de la hora. A ver, un segundo. Vale, esto ya está activado. Vamos a ver, ¿esté el chat funcionando? Yo creo que sí. Ya está funcionando de nuevo. Y voy a ver la de Samaritan. Pues de la zona de... Yo soy de la zona de Madrid. Y ya como tengo la duda, pues es que voy a mirar. Del 2022 estoy viendo la película. No, es esa. Lucky, la que tú dices. Lo estoy mirando a ver si veo de alguna imagen. Ojo, porque sí que me suena y mucho. Vale, si no la he visto, la de Samaritan, habré visto algún tráiler de ella. Te lo he dicho ya, como... Pues me la apunto, ¿eh? Me la apunto para que... A ver si viéndola la... Si la he llegado a ver. Es que ahora mismo no la recuerdo, pero es que en cuanto he visto imágenes, es que me ha venido a la cabeza. Y digo, esta... O lo que he visto ha sido tráiler o alguna cosa por el estilo. Vale, vamos a ver en el corredor. Si como dice hay algo de utilidad, como he dicho antes, para que la red se desactive. Porque lo que hace de sensor, ya hemos visto que no se puede destruir. Uy, a lo mejor con la herramienta esta nueva, no se puede hacer nada con la red. Y a ver si damos energía a las partes de la biomasa que están aquí. No, nada. No hay manera. Entonces tiene que haber alguna otra cosa para poder... Tiene que haber algo, como ha dicho, en los corredores. Tiene que haber algo que nos ayude. Esta es la zona principal, el lobby. Lo único que estaba este extintor de CO2, pero este extintor de CO2... Ah, sí se puede recoger. Ojo, ¿servirá? Si lo tiramos. ¿Se me escucha doble o repetido? Vale, ahora he hecho un vistazo. No es la primera vez que me lo habéis dicho. Un momento. Vale, ya está cortado. Ya debería estar cortado. Es que cuando he abierto el social stream para que yo poder leer vuestro chat, tiene que entrar en el stream de TikTok. Y lo que estabais escuchando era el stream de TikTok repetido. Supongo que unos segundos más tarde. Ahora ya debería sonar bien. Debería ya estar correcto. Y si da problemas, es que es el otro que está recogiendo el audio incorrectamente. A ver. Vale. Ahora ya sí que no debería ya sonar doble. Ya asegurado. A ver ahora, Lestric. Ahora ya se escucha bien en TikTok, porque ya sí que no debería escucharse doble. Ahora me dices. Y mientras sigo buscando a ver si... Y puede ser que ayude... Además es que lo de que se escuchaba doble o repetido no es la primera vez Que me lo habéis dicho, y me lo habéis dicho de TikTok además. Que ya es la segunda vez que sucede. No, aquí no veo nada que pueda utilizar. No sé, voy a volver a ver. Ah, vale, perfecto. Pues era eso, entonces. Es que Social Stream tiene que abrir la página del... La página del stream de TikTok para poder leerlo. Y lo que ha pasado es que lo he dejado y estaba corriendo el vídeo. No, aquí parece que tampoco hay nada. El vídeo del stream. Entonces lo que estáis escuchando era eso, unos segundos más tarde. Y seguramente estaba encadenándose y reencadenándose el mismo audio varias veces. Vale, pues sin problema, me avisáis cuando suceda, porque suele ser eso, algún descuido por mi parte. Y lo arreglamos. Vale, dice que... A ver, sigo pensando a ver qué puede ser lo que dicen que puedo utilizar. Ah, vale, acabo de ver una zona de corte. Vale, estamos con el cortador. Aquí. A ver, ¿a qué se puede hacer? Y abrimos aquí. Una pistola. Hacemos la típica de mirar y nos disparamos a la cara. Vale. Espérate, ¿esto si le disparamos a los sensores? No. No sé qué hace. Parece que tiene muy poco alcance. Eso. O... A ver, si le damos a darle. No. Qué raro. Pues... A ver, Instagram tengo uno personal. Pero de los streams estos no tengo uno. La verdad es que estaba pensando si hacer alguno, pero si ya me cuesta publicar, por ejemplo, en TikTok y eso, poner uno, bueno, en Instagram lo que podría poner más sería cosas más estáticas, fotos o cosas así. A ver. No, esto no sirve. A ver, me dejarán o escanearlo o... No. No sé para qué servirá esto. No me deja disparar con esta mano, solo con la derecha. Ah, ahora sí. No sé para qué servirá esto. A esto me dirán que no hay electricidad aquí, en este panel de seguridad.
There's some kind of added security here.
Dr. Everett Harlan reporting. Authorized laboratory access.
Voice-activated authorization. That's a smart security feature.
Thank you. And you're welcome.
Si lo llego a saber antes. Bueno, me llevo la pistola por si es necesaria. Aquí había algo.
This switch controls power for this hallway.
An emergency disconnect. Likely utilized as a means to curtail the outbreak.
They really did all they could to try and get the infestation under control.
They knew once it was out, they couldn't stop it. All they could do was buy time for everyone else on the station.
Bueno, esto lo vamos a dejar por ahora, yo creo que aquí. En la pistolita esta. Vale, y vamos a ver si podemos acceder. Mira, aquí tenemos un laboratorio que podemos acceder y... Vale.
What sort of research were they doing?
Especies.
The director was convinced the cure was impractical. So she poured everything into containment technology.
Did she have any luck?
When I left, she had everyone working on miniaturizing the insulation cloaking from our containment unit. I'm not sure how far they got.
Vale. Un brazo de control. ¿Será para algún...?
Is this some type of emitter?
It looks to be a functional prototype. I knew they were close, but I didn't know they had moved into practical testing. The basic concept was to surround the biomass with a cloak of electromagnetic insulation, preventing energy from reaching it.
Kind of like using a blanket to smother a flame.
Indeed. The idea was to build these cloak emitters as a reactive defense against the biomass, to contain it.
That could have a wide array of tactical applications.
Just all at best, not a solution. I wish she could have seen that.
Vale, el tiempo. Vale, esto es para extender el brazo. Ah, entiendo. Entonces, con esto se puede colocar así. Creo que si se le dispara al sensor...
Such versatile technology.
And it's stable enough.
Vale. Y con esto tendríamos 15 segundos de tiempo. Ah, ya veo para qué. Vamos a ver si se puede hacer algo más antes de pasar. Vale, va a ser para acceder a la puerta de la izquierda.
Biological specimens.
The director was always in here. Dissecting, testing. She was tireless.
These controls are running some sort of automated procedure.
The system is no longer reachable over the network. Cut off by the
Vale, y
biomass.
por aquí no se puede acceder.
It must be an old
Vale.
test. Abandoned during the outbreak and resumed now that we've restored power.
Hay que hacer eso mismo, pero con esta puerta de aquí, aprovechando que el cristal está roto y el emisor lo podemos reorientar. Podemos colocarlo de tal manera que lo bajamos todo lo posible, lo reorientamos un poco más a la izquierda.
Biomass at the exit neutralized.
It's possible I failed to foresee some
Y podemos pasar.
cloak emitters' eventual applications.
Ahí va.
Sounds like like your research director was on the right track.
Nora. She never gave up. I could hardly ever pull her away from her work.
Dr. Harlan, if I may interject, the local data I'm seeing implies that the director's efforts to develop cloak emitters proceeded beyond prototyping. Portable versions were installed in some of the X3 medtech shells. Several of these shells appear to have been left behind in the medical wing.
Ahora ya nos dicen que esto es una versión
I
portátil.
believe it may be possible to fit Jack with a similar device, a portable cloak emitter.
What is involved?
I'll need you to retrieve the data from one of the medtech shells here. With that, I should be able to reconstruct the portable cloak emitter's design.
Copy that. I'll see what I can find.
Vale, más datos. Están abusando un poco de esa mecánica de recupera datos y te instala un nuevo módulo. No me está terminando de gustar eso. Porque dentro de lo que cabe, el primero...
Jack, this is the primary examination room, where prototype cures were administered to volunteers. Dr. Harlan, you'll be pleased to know that your old workplace remains unaffected by the outbreak. Dr. Harlan?
That's good to hear, Juno. Thanks.
Vale.
These medical beds were used for diagnostic scans?
And to monitor potential treatments. Many of my peers focused on post-diagnosis options.
What sort of options?
Pain management, transmission reduction. Though most patients with terminal diagnosis volunteered for cure research.
Wait. There are diagnoses that aren't terminal.
If the infection is limited to the extremities and has not yet penetrated the epidermis, amputation has a roughly 40% success rate.
In emergencies, the integrated cutter, equipped by several models of the X3 shell, including Jack's, can...
No. That's enough. Forget I asked.
Sí. Olivia no quiere escuchar la forma de solventar el problema. Vale, por aquí no podemos escanear nada. Típico. Y esto parecía, como dije antes, uno de los emisores portátiles. Pero si eso es cierto, que es un emisor portátil, lo que no me... Si es cierto, no me gusta que ahora me dejaran usarlo. No. No. Como digo, hubiera sido desagradable que ahora me dejaran utilizarlo y antes no. Aquí se lió. A ver dónde me dejan acceder. Pues claro, veníamos por aquí. Pues ya que lo dices, a ver, estoy por...
Jack, you'll need to enter the medical lab in order to find and scan any available medtech shells.
Vale, el laboratorio médico. El acceso al laboratorio médico es este. Pues ya que dices eso, Lestrick, quizás lo mejor... A ver, tengo que buscar una manera de... Esta era la zona de examinación. Me tengo que buscar una manera de automatizar cuando subo, por ejemplo, a TikTok para que me suba también a Instagram. Conozco maneras de poderlo hacer. Un mini dron. No sé si esto servirá de algo. Ah, no,
This toy appears to have been left behind.
Brendan Lyons. It has to be. That boy was always leaving his toys about. A habit he doesn't does not appear to have corrected in my absence.
Oh, hopefully he still has a chance to.
That is unclear.
Vale, necesito entrar aquí donde el laboratorio médico. Uf. Y se lió gordísima ahí. Ah, mira. Aquí se podría abrir con el cortador. Conozco una manera en la que podría automatizar publicaciones, aparte de las propias automatizaciones que tienen la programación de, por ejemplo, TikTok tiene para poder programar las publicaciones. Pero nunca me ha gustado, porque me da la sensación de que funciona diferente con las publicaciones.
I'm entering the medical lab.
Doctor, perhaps you should step away for a moment. I'm sure there's still plenty of output data to parse before we're ready to initiate the experiment.
She's here, isn't she? Juno?
More than likely, yes.
Who? The research director?
I can handle it, Juno.
Are you certain?
I'm not looking away.
A ver. No creo que tenga ninguna utilidad. Vale, ahí no podemos acceder. Aquí posiblemente tampoco nos deje. Hay otra red de esas. En efecto, están todas reaccionando. Vale, un acceso. A ver
A
si nos
keypad
dice...
for the duct. It may provide a means to circumvent some of this biomass, if I can find the code.
Bueno, no nos echan una mano. Vale, aquí se puede escanear. Esta carcasa es muy parecida a la que estoy usando.
My suspicions were correct. They did develop a portable version of the cloak emitter. Unfortunately, the data contained in this shell is only partial. Jack, to complete the reconstruction, I'll need you to scan additional units.
Understood.
Vale, hay que escanear más unidades. Vale, una está aquí. Ah, y podría acceder. Va a ser un poco complicado.
Who was this person?
Dr. Franklin Teller, a fellow geneticist.
You knew him?
I knew all of them.
Oh, God.
A researcher and one of our anesthesiologists.
Dr. Adriana Lay.
She was too young for this.
I've recovered her research. It also seems she received a message from Dr. McKenna with all of his access codes attached. Would you like me to play it?
Affirmative.
Beginning playback.
Hey, Adriana. Well, I know I can count on you to look out for everyone. So I'm sending my access codes. They should get you into my stuff and a few engineering areas. The spare rations, my playing cards, whatever else. If any of it helps even a little bit, please, take it. Share it. I figure it might make things a little more comfortable for you all.
Trem, prepare for departure.
Shit, I gotta go. I have no idea how to end this. Good luck? No. Goodbye.
End of message. bridge.
Could one of Dr. McKenna's codes work on that keypad Jack saw?
I believe so, yes. Jack, I'll add the code to your ARM computer.
Ya podían haberme dicho directamente. Nada. Aquí está. 25-25.
Access to the utility ducts granted.
Vale, pues... esto va a estar complicado para pasar.
Moving through the vents now.
Tell me something, Doctor. How long does it take
What?
for the infection to run its course?
Once it becomes fully active, usually somewhere between 3 to 5 days. But most victims opt to expedite their end.
Right.
Bueno, esperemos encontrar por lo menos...
So, how does the infection work once it becomes active?
Otra de las carcasas.
The biomass drains energy directly from your cells. Your body is in the throes of widespread cellular decay. Major organ failure follows 12 to 18 hours later. But at least by then you're not in as much pain, since the infection has likely started feeding on the electrical signals traveling through your nervous system.
Excellent. That shell contained more data regarding the portable emitters. We'll need a good bit more to reconstruct the design, though.
Bueno, sigamos. Bueno, le ha cortado la conversación. No era precisamente muy agradable. Diciendo los detalles de la expansión de la enfermedad por la contaminación. Vale. Sigamos. A ver si por aquí ya podemos bajar. Sí, una zona de corte. Lo único que aquí hay son más datos. Vale. Vamos a ver.
Scan complete. We still need more data. Interesting. Doctor, this shell has a log conversation regarding the director and your research.
Go ahead, Juno.
Beginning playback.
Alright, Unit 5, back to the lab. The director wants to run those simulations again.
Query. For what purpose?
I'm not sure. Dr. Harlan's ideas were intriguing, to say the least, but, well, I suppose the director knows best. Go ahead and prep the simulations. I'll join you shortly.
Acknowledged, Dr. McKenna.
So the director eventually explored your theories after all?
I didn't expect she would continue it after I left. But without the biomass-based genetic material, it would have been as much of a dead end as containment. I just
No podemos extraer la carcasa.
couldn't convince her.
Vale, ha dicho que necesitamos más información. Pues tiene que haber más por aquí para escanear. O una bajada limpia. Mira por dónde. Por aquí podremos pasar. Fuera. Sí, podremos bajar. Vale, y por aquí podemos acceder. Y es el otro lado de donde estaba la red. Vean. Bien, un brazo de estos para poder anular. Vale, y una carcasa aquí a la que le podemos escanear los datos. Vale, entonces hay que mover este brazo para anular la red que está en el confinamiento central. Muy bien. Bajamos el brazo.
Jack, I'm still detecting unscanned medtech shells around the patient chambers. If you collect their data, I'll be able to reconstruct the cloak emitter for your shell.
Paciencia, ¿no? La de Juno. No, se me mueve ahí. Vale, voy a intentar con la parte de... Cuando lo suelto, vengan. Es que se queda... Vale, tengo que alejar la mano así. Y yo creo que aquí ya le da. Sí. Vale, y este no tiene tiempo de activación. No es como el otro que tenía 15 segundos. El otro brazo. De todas formas, aquí el escaneo lo voy a hacer desde aquí.
My reconstruction of the personal cloak emitter is nearly complete. One more scan should be sufficient.
Ah, un escaneo más. Ah, vale, que hay otra carcasa aquí, atrapada.
Data collection complete. Finalizing tool reconstruction. Reconstruction complete. Please visit
Bueno.
Fabricator to install your new cloak emitter.
Vale, pues como antes, lo mismo. Muy bien, voy a ver si el brazo lo puedo extender hacia la derecha. Porque creo que había un fabricado en el otro lado. Ah, no, aquí hay uno. Va. Y aprovecho la escena del fabricador, que es en negro, para mover la pantalla.
Cloak emitter installation successful. This portable version is practically identical to the mounted prototypes you've been using thus far.
Con esto no se saldrá el directo de TikTok. Vale, sigamos. Claro, y ya con esto.
Excellent. A tool like this will make it much easier to
Bien.
control.
Just keep in mind that its effective range had to be reduced to achieve portability. If you move too far away from your target, the tool will deactivate.
Ah, noted.
Vale. Pero bueno, ya con esto nos permite movernos con más facilidad. Ya podemos desactivar las redes. Perfecto. No, esto no.
Shields at 95%.
No, me he enganchado.
Shields at 50%.
Oh. No puedo soltarme. Adiós. Bueno, esto es lo que pasa si tocas a la biomasa. Y esto ha sido por tocarlo por error. Vale. Y sigamos para adelante. Y la he tocado por error por el tema de los botones.
I'm back in the lobby, proceeding to biomass containment.
Por el tema de que cuando acelero con el EVA, el mismo botón es el botón que tengo para el tema del... ¿qué diré? de recolocar la zona de juego.
There's another voice-activated control panel here.
Additional security for the biomass containment area. It requires the voice authorization of a high-ranking official.
Well, we've got Dr. Harlan, right? Let's get that door open.
My authorization won't be enough. We'll need someone with higher clearance.
Hmm?
The research director.
After a lockdown, she'd be the only one able to enter containment.
With a large enough sample of the director's vocal modulations, I should be able to synthesize her voice.
A voice sample? I don't know, even if we could find one, I'm not sure it's fair to...
Pull up my personal archive, Juno. There's just one file there.
You're sure, Dr. Harlan?
Go on.
Beginning playback.
I just... You know I wouldn't leave unless I had...
It's okay. A kill will change everything. I'm wrong about that. I just wish...
I know. Me too. I won't be long.
Doctor, I'm sorry, but it's not enough. We'll need more data before I can accurately synthesize the director's voice.
No sé,
Echo 1,
¿gente?
you need to return to the medical lab.
Pues
Find
nada.
Nora. If our data pod is still intact, it may be our best chance of finding more voice data.
Of course. I'll head back to the med lab.
Pues de vuelta a la zona médica. Esta era la zona de test. Y a partir de aquí sí podía llegar a la zona médica. No, la verdad es que esto es práctico. A ver. Esta zona es segura para poder acelerar un poco más. Vale, volvemos a la zona médica. Examinación. ¿Y dónde está? Me da que la doctora es esta que está aquí. A ver si puedo escanear desde aquí. No, tengo que pasar porque si desactivo...
Nora, it's Dr. Barry, the research director.
El momento que desactivaba la herramienta de aislamiento.
A message from the research director. It's addressed to you, Dr. Harlan.
Go ahead, Juno, get your sample.
Dr. Harlan.
We need her authorization. Just play it.
Everett? I don't know if you'll ever find this, but I wanted to get it out before, well, before things get any worse. If you do manage to find this, well, then you know what's happened. I suppose the good news is we got the emitted deck to work, which, if I'm not mistaken, means you owe me dinner. Everett, listen to me. I know you. I know you're going to try to put all this on yourself somehow. Make yourself believe there was something you'd have done had you been here, but it's not true. You understand? Don't go trying to carry that We all knew developing a cure was virtually impossible. No one here was waiting to be saved. You're leaving. You're already doing everything you could do to try and stop this. I miss you, Everett. Be safe. I love you. Goodbye.
I'm so sorry, Harlan.
I too am sorry. It's clear you meant a great deal to one another.
She was a good person. She deserved a better resting place than this.
I believe I have enough data to synthesize the director's voice now.
Understood. I'll return to the security panel in the lobby.
Pues sí. Y todos los que no estén ahora mismo hablando están los pobres.
I'm back at the security panel. Are we sure this will work?
Va a ser una buena...
But we can try. With Dr. Harlan's permission, of course.
Do it.
This is Dr. Nora Parek. Authorized containment access.
Juno,
Yes, Doctor?
never do that again.
No me extraña. Ahora se comprende mucho la actitud que tenía el Dr. Harlan al principio cuando le conocemos. Cada vez se va viendo más por lo que ha pasado y la razón por la que se comportaba así. Ojo, muy duro.
I'm entering what appears to be an excavation site.
You are correct. It's the only remaining route to the biomass containment area. We should be able to find our sample there.
Acknowledged.
Is this containment area where the outbreak started?
Most likely. I'll continue parsing logs to see if I can determine what happened.
I'm sure that's not necessary.
Do it. I need to know.
Of course, Doctor.
Está viendo a ver si hay alguna batería o algo. Porque esto es de recarga. Es una estación de recarga, pero está desactivada. Bueno, tenemos el fabricador para una nueva carcasa. Sí, lo quité. Pues ya me contarás a ver qué tal. A ver si llegáis a un acuerdo de cómo hacer la canción. Y los progresos, la verdad es que tengo interés en ello. Oh, ahí hay algo que se acaba de mover, he visto una sombra. Vale, hay tics por la zona.
Were these excavators being used to expand the containment area?
I can't be certain, but given the advancements made in insulation cloaking technology, I imagine they would have been trying to ramp up testing or possibly even production. Undoubtedly, that would have required taking in more samples than the facility was currently equipped to contain.
Could that be what caused the accident?
Possibly. If the research team was indeed rushing to complete work on the cloaking tech, then it is possible certain containment systems were overtaxed.
I should have been here.
Then you'd be dead too. And so would we, probably.
I would still be here. For a while, at least.
I assume these barriers were set up while construction was taking place.
Correct. Data files show a series of tunnels extending beyond the barriers.
The scale of these excavations seems to far exceed our mining efforts back on the Kronos 2.
Absolutely. Though, this excavation was done to leverage the asteroid's bulk as a protective layer against the biomass. Any valuable mineral extractions were merely a byproduct.
Does most of humanity have to live like this? Underground, so to speak?
For several generations now.
Cloaking successful.
All this advanced tech, and the biomass still broke containment.
Yes. This is why Eliminating the biomass is our only option.
No me debo alejar mucho para que siga activo. Vale, este dron de observación me serviría. ¿Le puedo escanear para activarlo? No. Esto lo frito. Vale, otra excavadora y otra barrera de entrada de la excavadora. Bueno, vamos pasando. Me acaba de mover con la de fuego. Así que ya tenemos una manera de poder... Ah, mira, esta es la parte trasera de la excavadora. Vale, otro fabricador. Ah, y este sí tiene activo la zona de la...
I'm approaching a large opening. There is a conveyance system installed overhead.
That is how newly arriving containment units were transferred into main storage. Local telemetry indicates a significant biomass presence throughout the area. Containment certainly failed here.
Acknowledged. I will proceed with caution.
Sí, se nota que está todo lleno de biomasa.
This container must have lost power at some point. Unfortunately, it appears its contents have escaped. How certain are we that a functional container is still here?
Based on the logs, one stock container arrived shortly before the lockdown.
Hopefully, it remains intact.
Vale. Pues busquemos ese contenedor que queda. Tú no molestes. A ver, ese contenedor está dañado. Este parece que estaba dañado también. Este ha perdido también su funcionalidad. Sí, ha perdido energía, así que ha dejado de funcionar. Este directamente... Me doy a vuelta. Ojo. Y con todos estos sensores, ¿cómo paso? Vale, por aquí va a ser imposible.
There is an electrical transformer here. Its power field appears to be keeping all nearby biomass active.
Any chance there's a bypass hooked up to it?
Effectively? No. That subsystem has been consumed by the biomass.
Lovely.
Ya, el problema es que...
I cloaked one of the sensors on this web, but it's not having the same effect as before.
One of? How many sensors does this web have?
At least 4.
Then this web must have been cultivating here for some time. It's possible this is where the outbreak originated.
Unfortunately, Jack, your cloak emitter cannot...
If you can't cloak the sensors, cloak the power source.
Nicely done, Jack.
Era una opción.
That was unexpected. I'll need just a moment to further analyze the reconstructed targeting software.
Vale.
Ah, I see it now. The cloak emitter should be able to target power sources as well, as long as they're sufficiently compact.
Copy that.
Vale.
Proceeding
Aquí
to the
tenemos el
web
control.
now. Is this the cargo bay?
Yes, and our
Este es el-
containment unit is indeed intact.
I'm still prepping the intake system. Should be ready by the time the container gets here, though. I'm assuming we have what we need.
Readings show a full complement of ticks within. So, yes, Captain, we have what we need.
Vale.
Is the unit safe to approach?
Yes, the container is fully powered and the insulation fields are active. Those ticks are pacified. I'll send a cargo drone to retrieve it as soon as the bay door is opened.
On it.
Vale, hay que abrir la compuerta. Y la compuerta se abre por aquí. Sí, aquí está lo que parece ser el control de la compuerta. Pues al final, Lucky, os hacéis un grupo completo entre unos y otros, ¿eh? Vamos a llevar este brazo para allá. Y aquí el truco será acercarlo todo lo posible. Lo que estoy viendo. Y una vez acercado todo lo posible, desactivamos la fuente de energía. Los tics vendrán hacia acá. Y se quedan aquí enganchados, con lo que ya dejan pasar. Muy bien. Y esto habrá que hacerlo 2 veces, supongo. Aquí tenemos otro sensor. Esto ya me deja pasar. Y aquí abrimos.
Copy that. We'll send over a cargo drone to retrieve the container. Shouldn't take too long.
Jack, we'll just need you to manually release the container once the drone has secured it.
Acknowledged. I'll head to the cargo bay. From this side, the web's sensor is inaccessible. I won't be leaving that way.
Yes, that is unfortunate. However, schematics do show a maintenance deck nearby.
I'll see what I can find.
Vale. Debe de haber... Vale, aquí está el acceso de mantenimiento. Y ahora va. Y esto nos permitirá salir... No sé a dónde. Un casco de una carcasa. Y eso suele ser el típico de que explotan las esporas.
Jack. There's another form of the biomass nearby. You may have seen them before. Elongated structures with an affinity for spore dispersion.
Indeed, cysts. Their rapid regrowth, even after bursting, makes them particularly dangerous. This specimen appears somewhat different than the others I've previously encountered. It has... tentacles.
Yes, I believe that particular adaptation manifested somewhat recently. The biomass has been evolving continuously since your time. Regardless, you'll want to keep your distance, if possible.
Vale, ya hemos visto cómo pasar. Que básicamente otro... Le vamos a escanear por si acaso.
There's a fair bit of data here. It should prove useful in our efforts to develop a cure. Good find, Jack. This is the administration area. Once past the next hallway, Jack, you'll be back in the cargo bay.
Vale. Estos son socket de batería. Da para abrir por aquí. Pero supongo que... Bueno, podemos acceder por este lado. Este es... A ver qué tenemos por aquí. Ah, vale. No, no es por aquí. Es por la otra puerta. Pero tenemos que cargar su batería. Que está aquí. Acabo de leer aquí lo que has escrito. Sí, te voy a decir que yo podría decir que quitando el pelo largo, porque ahora mismo tengo el pelo corto. Estaba hace unos días, igual que lo que tú, que como tú estás. Vamos a cargar la batería. Por suerte ayer pude dedicar un poco de tiempo a mí mismo. me puede dedicar un poco de tiempo. Oh,
This
no.
web must be sensing the battery's power field.
Indeed. Any substantial power field will awaken all forms of biomass from dormancy.
Vale. Entonces, la batería llama la atención del sensor. Eso significa que si la dormimos al sensor, que digo, ya deberíamos poder pasar. Bueno, y había otra manera. Que hubiera sido aislar a la propia batería.
It is quite effective.
That is indisputable at this point. And it has brought us that much closer to a cure. For that alone, we should be grateful.
Vale, ya podemos hacer. Y aquí otras dos pobres víctimas.
In this corridor, I found another casualty. 2, in fact.
Dr. Stephen Garrick and Senior Technician Avery Park.
Seems they were left behind in the evacuation.
I doubt that. If they're here, it's probably because they chose to stay.
Aquí están los tics.
I knew these people. Every researcher here understood what an outbreak would mean. That they would have to do whatever was necessary to try and protect the rest of the station.
Jack, the cargo drone will be unable to retrieve the container until it's released from the loading pallet. There should be a release
Ojo, me está
mechanism near the
avisando
container.
TikTok de la... Vale, acabo de ver lo del ausente. Ahora. Me estaba marcando TikTok lo del ausente justo cuando pasa 1 hora de tiempo. Y me ha hecho pasar un pequeño captcha. Esto es interesante saberlo. Lo que no sé es cómo ponerme algún tipo de alarma o algo. Sí, yo creo que debería ponerme más una alarma de tiempo normal y corriente. Estaba pensando de alguna alarma que me detectara en la pantalla.
Container released.
Confirmed. Container primed for departure.
Si pide el captcha.
I believe I would, yes. I doubt the procedure will take long.
Okay then. See you in a few.
Container departing in T-minus 10 seconds. Jack, if you're planning on accompanying the container, now would be a good time to take hold. Cargo drone is departing in 3, 2, 1.
Esta vez me voy con él.
Thrusters.
Vamos con los Furies. Pasa que este
Jack,
dron...
I hope you don't mind. I've switched us to another comms channel for a moment. I have a somewhat personal question to ask you. Do you mind?
Vale.
Go ahead, Juno.
Captain
A ver, ¿qué
Rhodes,
quiere Juno?
she considers you a friend, yes?
Yes, that is correct.
How do you know?
In the time I have known Captain Rhodes, she has consistently demonstrated behaviors that suggest she values my company, trusts my insights, and harbors a great concern for my overall well-being.
I see.
Why do you ask?
I'm trying to discern if Dr. Harlan considers me a friend. Biometrics indicate he is still experiencing some distress, but I'm unsure if it would be appropriate for me to console him. What is your assessment?
Based on my observations, I believe Dr. Harlan considers you a friend. He will appreciate your efforts, even if he does not outwardly display it.
Thank you, Jack. I agree with your assessment. I will do what I can to help the doctor feel better. Wait, did we just become friends?
I suppose we did.
Splendid. I'll return comms to the public channel now.
Esto me acaba de dar un poco de miedo. ¿Os imagináis en un futuro robots con tipo de consciencia, al estilo Jack, como es el protagonista, y que puedan empezar a hablar entre ellos y puedan considerar que las personas con las que están son sus amigos, como la conversación de ahora? Da un poco de miedo, ¿eh? Vale, ya estamos volviendo a la nave. Buenas, Vex. A ver, las sillas actuales, como tal, aunque pueden dar bastante miedo, no son más las...
Biomass container in place and ready to be secured.
Go ahead, Jack.
Hay que decir que no son más que las sillas actuales, no son más que modelos de probabilidad. Es decir, por ejemplo, una IA generativa, típica de un ChatGPT, lo que intenta es colocarte la palabra más probable dadas las palabras que has colocado. Y continúa, lo hace de manera recursiva, es decir, lo hace junto con las palabras que ya haya dejado. Vale, a ver, ahora, ¿dónde habrá aquí? Aquí está el control. No, pero esto ya no se necesita, ¿no? Supongo. Así que ya habría que entrar dentro. Ya en principio está todo. Vale, habría que volver al interior de la nave. A ver por dónde era. Por allí. A largos. A ver si es a donde hay que ir. Pero en su momento sí, al paso que vamos, digamos que conseguirán que alguna IA que consiga, o cómo se llama, la IA general, creo que la llaman así. Digamos que tenga, y que esa sí simule el tener una conciencia. Lo de Cyberpunk, espérate, 2077, espérate que no mucho antes. Y una película igual a donde estoy. Se me ocurre una muy antigua. Es antigua, es de miedo. Y también hablando de robots. No sé exactamente a dónde había que ir. Dice, no hay objetivos, pero bueno, supone que ya para volver a largos. Bueno, voy a avisar de que voy a decirles que está. Porque antes sí me dejaba marcar esto del contenido.
These containment units are quite effective. The ticks appear well pacified. How will we safely transfer them into the ship?
We've modified an intake unit to flush them directly into the engineering bay. It should be much safer than attempting a controlled breakout.
Slight deviation from the original accident, but for the added safety, worth it.
Esta unidad de entrada está... Vale, y falta esta por conectar.
These units were used to refuel ships.
Aquí está su control.
We got them hooked up to take in the contents of the gear you're collecting. Once we have both the fuel cell and the biomass container hooked up, we'll use these to route what we need to where we need it.
We are becoming quite skilled in bringing order to chaos.
Seems like we were built for this kind of work, huh?
Indeed.
Hacia abajo. Y esto ya conecta la unidad.
Biomass containers secured in place.
Copy that. System check, Juno. How did we do?
Systems nominal. Both the fuel cell and biomass container are secure and fully engaged with the ship's intake systems.
Well, Jack, Looks like things are wrapped up here. No need for you to rush back, though. I'm not exactly eager to send you hurtling through time again.
Of course.
Also, Dr. Harlan could always use more data for his research, if you'd like to continue exploring the station.
Copy that, Juno.
Vale. Y ya tendremos que volver a Argos, como nos he dicho. Vale. Pues la película... ¿Cuál es, Mex? ¿Cuál es la película que tú dices? ¿Te acuerdas del título? Y yo ahora que digo... ¿Cómo se llamaba exactamente? A la hora de buscar otra película de ciencia ficción. Esta es antigua, además, de tipo de miedo. De un robot que se descontrola dentro de una estación. A ver. Creo que la acabo de encontrar, además. Sí, creo que era esta, sí. Pero muy antigua de miedo, desde miedo. Saturno 3. Ah, Solaris también. Es que, por ejemplo, hay una muy... como digo, esta, por ejemplo, ya para conocer a la de Saturno 3 ya tenéis que haber visto películas muy, muy, muy antiguas. de ciencia ficción y de miedo. Bueno, de miedo. Si os daba miedo ese tipo de películas. Ah, la de Expedición a la Luna para buscar... ¿No sería una película coreana? Me parece que era una coreana también, que era de la Luna. Y no sé si era o era que buscaban agua y también era de miedo.
Hello, Jack. If you're looking for the captain, she's in the workshop.
Esa es la que digo, Mar de la Tranquilidad. También. Esa es la que decía de que era... Y es coreana, la de Mar de la Tranquilidad. Vale, pues arriba. Vale.
What is that? A motion detection system?
One of several independent sensors.
Aquí está.
Trigger detonation.
So it won't release the spores until it detects something they can feed on. Jack, there you are.
Good. He's finally here.
Bueno,
Dr. Harlan and I
aquí
were
estamos.
just giving this torpedo the once over while we waited.
Learn anything useful?
Yeah, it's a death trap.
Not that that's anything he has to worry about. Now then, are we ready to begin?
Affirmative.
Vamos allá.
I'm ready. That is assuming all the details have been sorted out.
Yes, everything's in order. Let's proceed.
Hold on, there's still some particulars that need ironing out here.
There are always going to be unknowns. That's just something we have to accept.
Let's assume this works. Let's assume we open another anomaly and send Jack's consciousness back to the past. What exactly is he supposed to do when he gets there?
Locate an undetonated biomass torpedo and sample the genetic material inside.
So you can use the data to create a cure. Right. I get that. I'm saying, how is he supposed to do it? It's not like he can physically bring the sample back with him. And if he's in a combat shell, it won't be fitted to do a medical scan. How will he collect the data?
He'll have to improvise, of course.
Apollo?
Greetings, Captain Rhodes. I have analyzed the situation and would like to propose a solution.
It's good to see you too.
We can exchange more formal pleasantries later if you like, Captain. For now, if you would please proceed to the holotable.
Vamos a ver.
All right, Apollo, let's hear it. How does Jack get the data from the biomass incubator?
According to Jack's memory logs, the last anomaly caused his protocols to transfer into a Series 10 combat shell. This unit was equipped with a threat scanner, which could be reconfigured to gather data on biomass specimens. Once we've successfully located a biomass torpedo, I will repurpose his threat scanner to collect data from the incubator inside. The collected data should then easily transfer back with us.
Apollo, are you certain you can travel through the anomaly with me?
A copy of my protocols has already been integrated into your architecture. I see no reason why we would not be transported together.
And how do we know you'll be transported to the right time and place?
If we create an anomaly precisely the same way as we did before, isn't it reasonable to assume we would get a similar result?
That would be my assessment as well, based on our previous experience. So long as we closely replicate the conditions that caused your previous jump through time, I expect the result to be nearly identical.
In other words, they should arrive at roughly the same time and place where Android first saw the torpedo.
And once they've got the data, how do we get them back?
Apollo, any theories?
According to the FTL's output logs.
Excuse me? You're reading our logs?
Well, they are not encrypted. As I was saying, according to the logs, the moment the FTL drive was disengaged, Jack's consciousness returned automatically.
That's correct. Dr. Harlan and I believe Jack's time in the past is directly correlated to the state of the FTL drive. In essence, Jack, the longer the drive here remains active, the more time you'll have in the past.
We'll keep it running for as long as we can. Give you as much time as possible.
The Astrea's fuel cell is exceedingly efficient and will most likely last long enough for us to locate an incubator and collect the relevant data.
Once we disengage the FTL, you should be returned to the present time.
Should? You're gonna have to do a bit better than should.
This is time travel we're talking about. All we have are best guesses.
What is your honest assessment, Apollo? How likely are we to succeed?
I would be unable to calculate accurate strategic odds based on the available data. Ultimately, we must do the best we can with the information we have.
This is the only way we get a cure. The only way we survive. You, me, everyone.
He's already made his mind up anyway. I can tell. I just wish we had a better plan than let's shove Jack in an anomaly and hope it all works out.
Juno, prep the engineering bay.
Right away, Doctor.
Jack.
Liv, we have to do this. It's the only way to find a cure for your biomass infection.
Yeah, and I suppose saving the whole rest of humanity is kind of important too. Just make sure you come back safely. All right?
Is that an order, Captain?
Well, technically we're both captains, remember? But yes, that is an order.
Acknowledged, Captain. I will do everything in my power to return safely.
Bueno, pues parece que hay un plan.
Bay is prepped and ready.
Good. Seal all the ship's bulkheads. We cannot risk any accidental contamination. Once we...
Of course, Doctor. Jack, please enter the control room and the engineering bay below. This way.
Vale, yo luego he hecho un vistazo al vídeo cuando desconecte el directo. Que lo haré, estaré como hasta las 3 o así, porque hoy he empezado mucho más tarde porque estaba en el cine. Y Johnny Mnemonic, muy buena recomendación también, ¿eh?
Please follow me to the control room, Jack. It's right this way.
Pues vamos para abajo. Esto ya nos lo conocemos.
The control room is right through this door. Sealing the engineering bay.
Vale.
Engineering bay sealed.
Dr. Harlan?
Así es.
Any
Como
inspiring
saltamos la
words?
otra vez.
No.
We all believe in you, Jack. To varying degrees.
Pues nada.
Let's get started. What do I do first?
Please adjust the dials to connect the fuel cell conduits to the drive core.
Vale, como la otra vez.
First conduit connection complete.
Conectamos.
All conduit connections are complete.
Good. We are ready to release the ticks into the engineering bay. Once you engage the FTL, they should begin feeding on it and create an anomaly, just like before.
Jack, are you ready for us to release the ticks?
Pues vamos a ver. ¿Me dan tiempo? Sí, me dan tiempo. Sí, lo de Cyberpunk es muy curioso que era eso mismo, 2022. 2022. Qué bueno. Así que así era en su momento, cómo se imaginaban que fuera justo estos años. Qué bueno. Vale. Videojuego, yo en algún momento tengo que volver a jugar a la expansión. A Phantom Liberty. Y el anime. Entre que sacar el anime, una pasada. Y además, si mal no recuerdo, hecho por el estudio Trigger. Si mal no recuerdo, es uno de los que yo tengo, de los estudios de animación que yo tengo identificados. Capaces de hacer lo mejor y lo peor. El estudio Trigger. Bueno, vamos a darle. A ver qué sucede.
Ready to proceed, Juno.
Acknowledged.
¿Oh?
Were the lights supposed to turn off like that?
Don't worry. We're just rerouting power so the ticks can only feed on the FTL drive. Stand by. Releasing tick specimens.
Well, I certainly seem to have their attention.
Once you engage the drive, they should be drawn to the FTL. All
Vale.
systems are primed. Awaiting ignition.
Pues arranquemos.
Now.
FTL drive engaged.
Vamos a ver qué pasa.
Biomass FTL interaction confirmed. The ticks are affecting the drive stability.
Here goes. Stay safe, Jack.
Of course, Liv.
Anomalous readings detected.
Take care of him, hello.
I shall do my utmost, Captain.
Anomalous readings finding.
Good luck, Jack.
Bueno, vamos a ver dónde acabamos. Vale, Lucky. Descansa, que ya es tardísimo. Venga, hasta mañana y pasa buena noche.
Come in, Delta Squad. Delta 6 requesting assistance. Is severely irradiated. Shell integrity currently below 60%. Secured shelter, bracket of the
Creo que ahora saltamos al robot Delta 13.
If you're receiving this transmission,
Que eso fue el que saltamos la otra vez. Vamos a ver qué pasa.
We have arrived. What is your status?
Core systems appear operational.
Good. We must keep in mind, this combat shell was not designed for biomass engagement. Any contact with the infestation will render us immediately inoperable.
Where should we begin searching?
Undetermined. I'll scan the area for identifiable landmarks.
Vale.
There was a transmission from a Delta member as we arrived. Did you hear it as well?
Affirmative. They are continuing to broadcast. I'll patch them in now.
Kronos 2 wreckage. Currently assessing bio-torpedoes in the area.
I recognize this unit as Delta 6.
Interesting. It appears this Delta 6 has already located several torpedoes. Reaching their location may be our most expedient option.
They said they're located at the wreckage of the Kronos 2. How far are we?
At minimum, we are within comms range. The distance should be manageable. We should first clear ourselves of this debris, then see if the signal strengthens. However, we should check your equipment before we go. I will do my best to keep this expedient. Let's begin with your shielding. This unit has been optimized for combat scenarios and is capable of regenerating its shield without the use of external chargers. However, a significant delay is required for the process to begin after sustaining damage. You may need to exercise patience.
Understood.
Next is your armament. This unit is equipped with an M19C repeater, designation Pulsar. Jack, are you comfortable wielding a firearm?
No, not entirely. I have used similar tools, but only in a utilitarian capacity. The prospect of wielding a weapon with the express intent of doing harm falls well outside of my directives.
As a tactical AI, I cannot claim to genuinely understand. But I can offer you this. Saving Captain Rhodes and what remains of the human race supersedes any concern over eliminating a relentless, virulent, highly destructive life form. At least, that is what our directives indicate.
Bueno.
Thank you, Apollo.
Of course. Now, let us continue with a brief simulation so that you may become familiar with the device. Your armament is now unlocked. Open fire on the targets.
El stream de TikTok, que no quiero que se vaya. Vale, seguimos. Vale. Aquí tenemos el arma. Me va a pedir que dispare por aquí. Vale, es la típica.
Please eliminate all targets to proceed.
Bien.
Targets eliminated. Unfortunately, should we encounter ticks, it is unlikely they will be quite so docile. These targets should provide a closer approximation to tick activity. As such, successfully hitting a given target may require you to aim ahead.
Un objetivo móvil ya cuesta más.
The ionized bolts of your armament are surprisingly slow, though I suppose that is acceptable for weaponry of this century.
Más como tiene un retraso en el alcance. Me encantaría tener una mira láser para poder disparar sin tener que apuntar.
Jack, fire continuously at this last target. Make no consideration for accuracy.
Ajá. Vale, lo que quieren es que vea.
Notably, each firing of your weapon causes a
Vale,
portion
el
of
tema
energy to be retained as excess heat. Without sufficient time to cool, this buildup will exceed maximum operating temperature, leading to an emergency venting cycle.
Can this be averted?
Yes. Firing in controlled bursts is the most efficient way to do so. However, you may use the button on your wrist to manually vent any heat within the unit. But this choice should be made tactically. The weapon will remain inoperable while venting.
Understood.
Excellent. Lastly, we need to inspect your threat scanner.
It's what we'll use to scan the biomass as base genetic material, correct?
Indeed. However, until we locate a viable torpedo, we shall instead rely on its original functionality, identifying nearby hostiles. To that end, I have optimized the device's settings to our mission parameters. Once activated, it will emit a single sensor pulse, followed by a brief recharge cycle. Try doing so now.
Vale. A ver. No hay
Jack,
atendido
we must
justo.
test
A
your
ver.
threat scanner before we proceed.
Que es el de la izquierda, ¿no? Ah, vale, así, cerrando la mano.
Hostile identified. A tick just beyond the bulkhead. It appears dormant for the time being.
Can it be avoided?
Y
Given
tiene
the
que
surrounding
regenerarse.
topography, no.
Vale.
Though your strategy is sound, armament from this era won't be particularly effective against any form of the biomass.
Very well. I am ready to engage. Can you unlock the harness?
Done. Now that you are free, I must advise. Operating your firearm will produce substantial recoil. I strongly encourage you to brace by maintaining a firm grip on nearby surfaces.
Acknowledged.
Sí, cero caliber, ya lo he echado un vistazo. Por cierto, de antes decías de Cyberpunk, sí, Ghost in the Shell, tanto las películas como las series, las de Standalone Complex, las que muy recomendables a la gente que le guste los animes. Vale. Había un tic por aquí. He indicado. Sí, está ahí. Lo que pasa es que esto será una ventana o se podrá disparar desde aquí. No, que esto es una ventana. Vale, pero por aquí seguramente esté abierto. Y ahí está el tic. Vamos a ver. Te lleva para atrás el retroceso. Está todo esto lleno de restos. Vale,
as 6's transmission indicated. That would also explain the comms interference.
Indeed. Though I should also note, the ionizing radiation correlates with visual spectrum emissions. Avoiding the latter will protect you from the former. The wreckage ahead contains a shielded view pane. It should offer full protection while allowing us to identify the source of radiation.
Vale, esto es una ventana cerrada. Bueno, una escotilla cerrada completamente. Lo que quiero evitar es pasar por el exterior. A ver, ¿habrá algún control? Control de la puerta. En principio no veo ninguno. No sé si aquí esto estará lo suficientemente roto. Sí, para pasar. Sí, en concreto eso. Vale, aquí hay radiación. Había. Vale. Ojo, un tic. ¿Dónde? Uf, menos mal que había una ventana, si no me hubiera pillado. Pero esto tiene pinta de... No, aquí no hay ventana, vale. Ojo, ¿y hay que pasar por aquí?
That power cell is temporarily distracting the tank. Though, a direct hit to the cell from your pulsar would likely cause it to detonate.
Ah, interesante. Lo que pasa es que no ha detonado.
The debris field ahead offers far less protection from radiation. Extra precaution will be needed to stay out of the light. Furthermore, I am detecting a significant biomass presence. I strongly advise frequent use of the threat scanner to plan an optimal.
Acknowledged.
Shields at 30%.
Y fuera, por la radiación.
From the anomaly.
Is it still stable?
I believe so, at least relatively.
Vale, vamos a
Nonetheless,
intentar
we
ver
should
las
remain focused on finding a
que me
torpedo.
marque
We
bien.
hope to do so before the anomaly collapses.
Warning to any receiving. Hostile equipment in the area designated biotorpedoes. Devices will seek vessels.
Vale, Delta 6. ¿Dónde estará Delta 6?
Recommend vessels maintain minimum safe distance.
Vale, yo creo que esto me va a exponer.
It would appear Delta Squad has become familiar with the operation of the torpedoes.
Vale, aquí hay más TIC.
Perhaps that is what caused their vessel to crash.
Given that they began investigating the torpedoes in close proximity, that result is highly probable.
Shields at 95%.
Sí, sí, sí. Fíjate.
Shields at 50%.
Sí, en cuanto me expongo a la anomalía, la radiación es excesiva. No sé si se pasaría por aquí. Otra cosa es ir de zona a zona protegiéndome. Sí. Vale, nos podemos proteger.
Apollo, should we
Vale, se
respond?
pueden utilizar las
Negative. The
trazas
interference
que
is
hay
still too great.
para saber las zonas
Nonetheless, I
seguras.
will continue monitoring the situation.
Y creo que podría pasar por detrás de esa zona metálica. Vale, pero primero lo primero y es deshacernos de los tics.
Shields at 95%.
¡Hala! A lo bestia. ¡Hala! La mejor manera de deshacerme de los tics. Y allí hay uno que está lejos. No sé si le puede acertar desde aquí. No, muy lejos. Vale, pues hora de intentar ir a la zona metálica a ver si me protege.
Another pulse.
Magnitude minimum. I believe we still have ample time before our forcible return to the future.
Muy bien. Aquí hay más tics. Vale, ahí está el otro. Eso es. Lo bueno es que se acerquen.
An activation pod.
It is as Delta 6's transmission indicated. They are unable to reboot.
Vale. ¿Por qué zona puedo pasar? Que me proteja. Parece que por aquí. Vale, otro tic en la zona.
Shields at 95%.
Parece que esta zona me protege también. Y más tics. Uno que se ha ido para allá. Bueno, pues mientras vaya para allá. Ah, no, está yendo y volviendo. Haciendo cosas muy raras ese tic. Vale. Mientras me mantenga a distancia. Vale, este se está activando con mi cercanía. Uno menos. Vale, si tengo que avanzar por aquí, sí tendré que deshacerme de esto.
Shields at 95%.
Hala, fuera. Otra manera de... Ah. Sí. Así más sencillo, sí. Es cierto. Muy espía.
There is a faint distress signal emitting from a cavern just ahead. Its frequency is similar to Delta 6's earlier transmission. We should investigate.
Vale. Allí, a 40 metros. Ahí está la Delta 6. Vamos a ver si desde aquí podemos llegar.
Shields at 95%.
Ojo. Una zona de radiación, hay que protegerse. A ver si hay más tics por la zona. No, limpio.
Distress signal located.
It's a CubeSat, one of Delta Squad's recon units.
It appears to be in need of our support.
Move. Espero que no haya problemas por darle. Hala.
Delta Unit, I'm picking up your signal in proximity to Reconnaissance Satellite 3. Is that you, 13? Or was it Echo 1?
Jack, we have insufficient time for complications. We should keep our relation to this combat unit as simple as possible. I will conduct all communication with you privately, and I must insist we maintain the persona of Delta 13.
Very well, Apollo. Delta 6, this is Delta 13. I read you. ReconSat 3 was engaged by multiple hostiles. I moved to assist.
I see. 13. Your return is peculiar, but appreciated. It appears ReconSat 3 would not have survived its perimeter sweep without your aid. So, what is your status? Is your pod operational?
Affirmative. All systems nominal. Rally at your position.
Acknowledged. ReconSat 3 will lead the way. Destination, Kronos 2 Bridge. I will require your assistance in assessing the bio-torpedoes.
Acknowledged. We are en route. 13 out.
Well done, Jack.
Vale.
Your replication of
Vamos
tactical
por
speech was
arriba.
convincing.
My experiences with Liv have taught me many things. It would appear that improvisation is one of the most useful.
Agreed.
Vale. A ver por dónde nos lleva. Por aquí. Vale, aquí está hay biomasa, pero está inactiva, vale. Podemos continuar. Por aquí va a haber problemas de radiación durante un momento, a lo mejor. No. Bien, por aquí arriba habrá problemas con la radiación. Habrá que ir por abajo. A ver. A ver, céntrate, amigo.
I can see your signal light from here. Proceed with caution. There are hostiles.
Ups.
Interference from the anomaly. Delta 13, status. Are you experiencing malfunctions again?
Negative. No malfunctions detected.
Acknowledged. Proceed with caution. There are hostiles in the area.
Understood.
Hostiles.
ReconSat 3 is detecting a nearby threat. Advise clearing the area before you proceed.
Eran los tics entonces. Es este tic ahí. Para utilizarte como... Pobrecito. A SAT 3 le estamos usando de cebo. Pobrecito. Ven. Vale, y hay otros dos tics en aquella dirección.
13. Secure the area and proceed to the Kronos 2 bridge. I require your assistance. Additional threats detected. I recommend enacting the
A
sweep
ver,
and
¿dónde
delay
está?
protocol.
Allí. Vale. Vale, uno ya lo estoy viendo. Que este ya viene.
Shields at 95%.
Vale. Y al otro nos lo cargamos igual.
All clear.
Así, sencillo, sí.
13. Recon Sat 3 cannot proceed until the threat is neutralized.
Shields at 95%.
A ver, que recupere.
Shields at 95%.
Vale, y aquí podemos regenerar. Hay que ir poco a poco. Vale, aquí no hay enemigos. Y parece que es Delta 6.
13. It appears you've arrived here intact. Well done.
We need to locate the torpedoes as soon as possible.
Thank you, Delta 6. We should continue our mission immediately.
Agreed. Primary objective: threat assessment of the hostile devices. Secondary objective: establish a warning beacon for passing vessels.
You are unable to reboot, correct? Perhaps I should take the primary objective.
Agreed. A further encounter with the bio-torpedoes would likely result in operational failure on my part. However, I can still provide some assistance. By leveraging the Kronos 2 systems, I have already performed a sensor sweep. In doing so, I have identified a large number of active torpedoes in a nearby clearing. The results are available here, on the hollow table, if you wish to review them.
Can you push the objective to my ARM computer?
Affirmative. I've also included the clearing's coordinates as the associated location marker, should you need it.
Acknowledged.
You may proceed through here to reach the clearing. I will begin efforts toward our secondary objective shortly. Report back here once you have completed your assignment.
Copy that.
Interference from the Astrea's radiation will continue beyond the arrival of the Ithaca. It is unlikely Delta 6's secondary objective will be accomplished.
We are fortunate to have their assistance, though. Locating torpedoes has saved us considerable time.
Agreed. The alignment of our objectives is fortunate indeed.
Apollo, if Delta Squad was not able to safely perform their assessment, how will we collect our data on the base genetic material?
Unlike the rest of Delta Squad, you have my assistance. I will bring the entirety of my electronic countermeasure suite to bear against the torpedoes. I am certain I will be able to disable their proximity detonators.
Yes.
Fair enough. I suppose an advanced tactical AI is quite capable of tipping the scales.
Indeed. To that end, I shall now reconfigure your threat scanner for inspecting the torpedo incubators. Stand by.
Vale.
Reconfiguration complete. Your threat scanner should now be able to generate a detailed mapping of the biomass's base genetic material, though the range of the instrument has been somewhat diminished.
I suppose that's a trade-off we'll have to accept.
Indeed. The anomaly is becoming more active. We need to hurry. Dr. Harlan and the captain may be close to having expended the fuel cell.
Vale, aquí tenemos
Shields at
todo.
95%.
Ojo. Hay que protegernos. Vale,
A
este
biomass
torpedo no.
torpedo, already detonated. Is there any value in scanning it?
Negative. Dr. Harlan has already gleaned as much as possible from such specimens.
Vale. Parece que acabo de ver un torpedo que no está detonado. A ver cómo llegamos hasta él. Porque justo está en un sitio que está expuesto. Este sí detonó. Vale.
Apollo, what makes the base genetic material no longer viable once a torpedo detonates?
Dr. Harlan's findings indicated that a sort of catalyzing substance is introduced, causing the base genetic material to rapidly form into the spores characteristic of detonation.
Vale, el problema es que veo un torpedo ahí abajo, pero es inalcanzable. Y luego hay otro allí. A ver cómo podría pasar. Aquí hay uno que parece que no ha detonado. Ahí justo en medio. Como pidiendo a gritos: escanéame. Pero cómo llegar a él y no freírme en el proceso.
Shields at 95%.
Esto mismo.
Shields at 30%.
A ver, tengo que conseguir llegar hasta allí.
Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%.
No, aquí me desconecto. Me freí. Vale. Vale. Creo que por aquí podría bajando. Yendo por aquí, entre restos.
Shields at 95%.
Vale. Entre restos por aquí, sí podría ir llegando. Ojo. Tengo que esperar a que recargue antes de pasar y buscar el siguiente. Vale, creo que hay. Y ahí está la anomalía.
Shields at 95%.
Que aquí todavía me expongo mucho. Vale. Puedo seguir bajando. A ver.
Shields at 95%.
Aquí tenemos problemas. Vale, creo que podría llegar hasta abajo del todo.
Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%.
Vale. Oh, mucho riesgo.
I've connected conduits from the Kronos activation bay to a mobile reactor. I believe I can repurpose some of the bay's components to act as a warning beacon. With sufficient power, it may be able to overcome the interference.
Acknowledged. I am still proceeding with the threat assessment.
Copy that. Delta 6 out.
Apollo, I've located a torpedo. Is this close enough to scan?
Unfortunately, no. We need to reach the forward end of the torpedo, where the base genetic material is housed.
Vale.
You're certain that we're masked from the detection?
Yes, my countermeasures are holding. It should be safe to approach.
Vale, vamos a intentarlo.
Shields at 95%.
Vamos a ver. O sea que hay tics por la zona. Vale, ese no se me ha podido deshacer de él. Bueno, disparando parece que se puede utilizar un poco. Se puede utilizar al estilo trazadoras. Vale.
Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%.
Aquí, que están protegidos. Esperar un momento. Vamos a ir en ángulo para abajo. Yo creo que aquí no estamos suficientemente protegidos. A ver. Sí, parece que sí. Podríamos llegar hasta el torpedo. Vale. Cuidado que esto disparará esporas. Y ya hemos llegado a la cabeza del torpedo.
Apollo, is this range sufficient for a scan?
It should suffice. However, the torpedo's shielding is denser than anticipated. For a successful scan, it appears we'll need to expose the base genetic material. I believe that by interfacing with the torpedo, I should be able to reveal the incubator at the forward end.
Do you need me to do anything?
Possibly. I cannot be certain until I have actually accessed the torpedo's systems. I advise maintaining full tactical readiness.
I am uncertain what tactical readiness implies.
Apologies. Simply be ready for anything.
Understood.
I will begin once you designate the incubator for scanning.
Vale.
This incubator appears viable.
Are you ready to begin?
Pues nada, empecemos.
Yes.
Interfacing now. This is more complex than I had.
Apollo?
The torpedo's defense protocols have activated. It has locked the incubator and is attempting to power its main drive. It's beginning launch procedures. I will stall for as long as possible.
Vale. Y...
I'm opening access hatches on the front end. The manual overrides within them should trigger a maintenance mode.
Override activated.
Perfect. Take care of the one on the opposite side as well.
13. I now have the beacon powered. Unfortunately, the range is being severely limited by radiation
A ver si hay otro
and
tercero.
interference from the anomaly.
No.
Second override activated.
Well done, though the launch procedure is still online. Perhaps we can overheat the main drive. Enabling maintenance mode gave us access to the torpedo's cooling cells. Remove them. The cells are locked behind protective housing. Lower it.
Vale. Y esto fuera. A romper el torpedo.
Cells removed.
Perfect. You will need to remove the second array on the opposite side as well. Jack, the launch procedure is nearing completion. Jack, these launches will get clear of the torpedo immediately.
Roto. Nos freímos. Tenemos que poner el lado. No.
Fortunately, I believe there are additional torpedoes in the vicinity. What we learned here will make us more prepared for a second attempt.
Vale. ¿Y dónde encontramos un segundo torpedo? Porque este había costado bajar hasta él. Sí, lo estoy viendo. No sé si podremos ir por el mismo camino.
Pulse registered.
Hay que esperar la recarga.
Shields at 95%.
Vale. Hay que esperar la recarga.
Shields at 50%.
A ver. Vale, la
Shields at 95%.
esperamos aquí la recarga. Otro pulso.
Destabilization detected. Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%.
Ojo que casi nos
The anomaly is likely to
freímos.
collapse very soon.
I know, Apollo.
Vale.
Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%.
Vale. Llegamos hasta aquí. Más tics. A ver, ¿puedo cruzar?
95%.
Oh. En un sitio que no nos afecte. Podemos darle al tic. Ahí está. A ver que recargue.
Shields at 95%.
Vale, por aquí habíamos podido llegar hasta donde el primer torpedo que se ha disparado. Pero lo bueno es que tenemos la posibilidad de acceder al segundo.
Dr. Harlan and the captain must be doing all they can, but we likely don't have much time left.
Vale. Ya sabemos que no tenemos apenas tiempo. Pero ahora ya sabemos cómo desactivar el torpedo.
Incubator located.
Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Así que
My countermeasures are holding, but you'll need to trigger the maintenance mode immediately. The manual overrides should be exposed at the forward end.
One down.
Excellent. Now for the second one.
a ver,
Maintenance
desactivamos
mode
esto.
activated.
Indeed, the cooling cells are now exposed. Remove them to trigger an overheat.
Vale.
The cells can't be removed without lowering their housing first.
Cooling cell array clear.
On to the second one.
Fuera, fuera y
Additional
eso.
cells removed.
The drive is beginning to overheat, but the launch sequence is still active. We must resort to brute force. Destroy the drive. The launch sequence is nearly complete.
Main
Pues
drive
ya está.
destroyed.
Roto.
Launch sequence averted. That finally did it. I am able to unlock the incubator now. And we should do so quickly. It appears we may not have much time.
Incubator exposed.
Excellent. We should begin the scan immediately. Scanning.
Escaneando.
Apollo.
Imprinting now. Should not be much longer. Just a moment longer.
Apollo.
Data secured. Well done, Jack.
Bueno, hecho.
I suppose now we should simply wait for the anomaly's collapse.
I believe so, yes. It does appear to be fairly unstable at this point. I estimate no more than a few minutes remain.
Very well.
Vale.
Perhaps there is a way we could signal the Doctor and Captain Rhodes that we are ready to return.
Were that viable, I would have expected them, or you, to have already suggested a means for doing so.
Certainly. However, I was attempting to prompt one of your creative solutions.
I see. The anomaly is going to close any moment now.
Preparing for return displacement.
Vale,
Jump
pues...
imminent.
Pues de vuelta. ¿O no?
Jack, are you here as well?
Sí, estamos aquí.
Surprisingly, yes.
Surprising indeed. Our plan was developed under the requirement that the anomaly's collapse would return us to 2537. Had this outcome appeared likely, I would have developed a contingency.
Do we have an alternative means of returning?
Given the limited resources available to us here, no, not that I am aware of.
13. Now that the anomaly has subsided, I have run an additional test of the beacon. Radiological interference is still too significant. Nonetheless, the beacon is prepared to transmit continuously once the radiation subsides. As such, I am now shifting my priority back to the primary objective. What is the status of your assessment?
Assessment complete.
Well done. Unfortunately, our lack of extended range communication leaves us unable to deliver your work to Titan Command. Therefore, We must enact the message in a bottle protocol. Report back to me in the activation bay so that we may discuss the details.
Jack, assisting Delta 6 may be our best solution at this point. Both of Delta Squad's objectives are still viable, though unlikely. The radiation may subside in time for the beacon to warn the Ithaca.
And if it doesn't?
Then we follow protocol.
The message in a bottle protocol?
Yes. It is a standardized Atlas procedure. In short, Delta 6 intends to store our assessment in a secure device until it can be recovered.
That information would disrupt the events of this timeline.
That is the intention, to prepare humanity to defeat the biomass sooner.
But then what happens to Liv?
We have no way of knowing. Our own limited experiences are the only concrete information we have regarding time travel. Simply put, there are too many confounding factors to even make an assessment.
I see.
Interesante.
It is, however, possible that once events here stabilize, we will be able to obtain help in returning to the future. Therefore, I advise we wait until the Ithaca or other Atlas personnel arrive. We can then reevaluate.
Very well, then we wait. I will inform Delta.
13. I did not receive a response. Do you copy?
Copy, Delta 6. I'm en route.
Eso es.
Copy. 6 out.
Vale. Así que toca volver.
Shields at 95%.
Mira, por aquí se podía ir más rápido. Y otro misil, otro torpedo sin detonar. Curiosamente. Se podía haber utilizado también. Vale, puedo subir por este lado.
Shields at 95%.
A través de estos restos se puede subir.
We should return to Delta 6 and inform them we're ready to proceed.
Es lo que estamos intentando. Volver. Por aquí me da la impresión de que no. Por donde estoy yendo nos vamos a exponer. Yo creo. Sí. Mejor volver por el lado contrario. Vamos por detrás. Aprovechamos las rocas, los asteroides, y lo he dicho bien con A. Ahora me habréis entendido otra cosa. Bueno, vamos aprovechando los restos, estar cubiertos. Vale, y esto parte como la protección. Vale, aquí estamos. Pues
Apollo, what are the odds of this beacon successfully warning the Ithaca?
Considerably low. My estimates indicate the Astrea will continue burning beyond the arrival of the Ithaca, thereby blocking the signal. We can only be certain by waiting for that event to occur, though.
Given the state of Dr. Harlan's timeline, do we not already know that the beacon fails?
The causality between our actions here and the future is ambiguous. Though the Astrea's appearance has clearly had an effect, it appears your prior experience as Delta 13 did not. That difference may be caused by the magnitude of the changes, but it quite possibly could be the result of some other factor we are unaware of. Simply put, the relation remains unknowable.
Let's begin.
pues nada.
Very well. Your new shell is right over there, awaiting your transfer.
My new shell?
Correct. Protocol dictates we should place the assessment data in the most secure storage solution available, Tier 6 or higher. That Series 11 shell should do nicely.
That should make waiting for the Ithaca far simpler.
Understood, 6. I will transfer when ready.
Acknowledged. You may open the activation pod via the console over there. I will attempt further optimization of the beacon in the meantime.
Pues nada, pues abrimos.
I'll prepare the transfer. Initiate through your ARM computer when you're ready. Shields
Y nos
at
transferimos.
30%.
Transfer appears complete. Please confirm, 13.
Confirmado.
Affirmative, Delta 6. Transfer complete.
Acknowledged. You are now integrated into the activation bay's power grid, which I have connected to a mobile reactor. It should provide ample power for both you and the beacon, especially once you've engaged your hibernation protocol. I will do my best to keep you and the power supply safe.
Acknowledged. Delta 6. Will you let me know if the anomaly reappears?
Peculiar. Very prudent. Very well. Initiate hibernation when ready.
I've set the protocol for timed disengagement so that we may awaken for the Ithaca's approximate arrival.
Excellent. It is unlikely anyone else will arrive in the meantime.
Indeed. Ready when you are, Jack.
Good luck,
Pues
Delta 13.
a dormir. Bueno. Y no deberían ser los únicos en dormir. Debería pensar también en ir desconectando ya. Vamos a ver. Vale. Suspendido 50 días.
This is the SCI Ithaca automated nav transponder. Vessel entering Saturn orbit. Preparing for course correction burn. Destination, Earth. End of transmission.
Bien. La Ithaca está...
Status?
Unfortunately, it appears the radiation has not yet subsided. Unless Delta 6 managed to improve the beacon, the Ithaca will not be warned.
Delta 6, this is Delta 13. What is your status? Delta 6, status.
I'm not picking them up on sensors either. However, there is a high-gain broadcast coming through. From the Ithaca. I'll patch it in.
A ver qué dice la Ithaca.
This is the SCI Ithaca automated nav transponder. Correction burn initiating. 3, 2, 1.
The vessel is passing by on its way to Earth.
Ah, está por allí.
Then, as anticipated, the beacon has failed. Effectively, we are witnessing the origin of the biomass outbreak.
Correct. This does appear to be the final moment from which the ensuing series of events could be changed. A tipping point, if you will.
¿Y ahora qué?
What should we do now?
Without Delta 6, delivering our data on the base genetic material is far less tenable.
How so?
Simply put, we are back to not knowing what happens next. An Atlas team could arrive within the hour, or within a year.
Or never.
Precisely. Delta 6 would have been able to assist such a team in finding us while we're in hibernation. But without that, we must err on the side of extreme caution.
How long can we remain in hibernation?
The main issue is the lifespan of that mobile reactor. At current operation, it should last roughly 50 years. If we were to minimize the beacon's output,
we could last roughly 500 years. But then I doubt anyone would find us.
What has our best odds for success?
Given that it is uncertain a cure could be developed with current technology, bringing the data back to Dr. Harlan certainly is a more reliable target. But how will he find us?
He probably won't. But Liv will.
Yes, she'll search for us once we fail to return. In fact, if we altered the beacon's message to one she would uniquely recognize.
And time its broadcast to resume when she would start searching.
Then we should be easily found, with power to spare. Pausing beacon now. I'll set it to resume shortly after when we would have disappeared. Beacon set. The next time we awaken, it should be due to Captain Rhodes having received our message.
Esperemos que sea por eso.
Initiate hibernation when you're ready.
Pues nada, hibernación de 400 años. ¡Hala!
Earth has been quarantined. Passage to and from is prohibited until further notice.
¿Has arrancado antes?
Jack, listen.
Message to all colonies. Do not, I repeat, do not attempt passage to Earth. Any and all traveling vessels, avert course to your nearest off-world settlement. All passage to and from Earth is prohibited until further notice.
Eso es que ya contaminó la Tierra.
It's a distress call from Earth.
And not the only one. I'm intercepting countless transmissions from ships disobeying orders. Fleeing Earth.
Oh, y eso lo extendieron.
The infection is spreading.
Indeed.
Esas naves las extendieron.
Well underway. We should conserve energy, Jack. Reinitiate hibernation when you're ready.
Pues a hibernarnos de nuevo. Que nos quedamos sin energía. Ahora un viaje de 400 años suspendido. Ya me gustaría a mí que el suspendido durara esa cantidad de tiempo. Oh, interrumpido. A los 200 años. ¿Qué habrá pasado? ¿Va a despertar? A ver.
Apollo, what's causing the alarm?
We're passing through a debris cloud. It is mostly comprised of smaller particulates of rock and ice. But sensors indicate a denser cluster on collision course.
How long before it reaches our position?
We have approximately 20 seconds before impact. However,
en 20
the trajectory
segundos.
places the affected area outside our immediate position. We will experience some impact tremors, but this bay should provide adequate protection.
Pero otra cosa es si nos despide en otra dirección. Vamos a ver.
Impact imminent. Collision evented. 3, 2, 1.
Ya, colisionó con nosotros. Lo que sea.
Tremors subsiding.
Bueno.
Minimal damage to the activation bay.
You were saying?
The impact appears to have destroyed the mobile reactor.
Uh-oh.
We still have 200 years before we reach Liv in Harlan. How long will our remaining power sustain us?
My revised estimate gives us about a decade before full power loss, even in your system's suspended state. Our only option now is to initiate a complete shutdown, to leave all remaining power for the beacon when it restarts in Harlan's time.
Bueno, si no hay más opciones...
Is there no other way to provide sufficient power?
Negative. With the reactor destroyed, I believe this is our only option.
Pues nada,
But as
si es
long as the
la
distress
única
call
opción, pues es
reaches
lo
the
que hay.
doctor and captain, they can retrieve this shell and transfer your preserved memory core. Good luck, Jack. Disabling all non-essential subsystems. Goodbye.
Pues ahora sí que dulce sueño.
Apollo.
¿No? Ha tirado antes del cable que nosotros. Pues apagado completo. ¿Os imagináis que ahora pone fin? Vamos, sería curioso. Bueno, decir otra palabra.
Initialize neural matrix transfer. Verify hardware connection. Okay, mapping core protocols to target.
How much longer?
The transfer should go much faster now that we've finally isolated his core protocols.
Atlas Intelligence Systems. Artificial Neural Matrix version 11.312. Initialize boot sequence.
This is it. I think he's waking up.
Estamos despertando.
It worked. I did it.
Well, you certainly did something.
The scan data, did you?
Yeah, we got it.
Dr. Harlan is already in the lab developing a countermeasure.
We're not there for
Bueno.
hours now. I think you gave him a lot to unpack. You did good, Jack. Come on out. We'll see how it's going.
Bueno, la vuelta ha sido por el camino largo. 400 años de camino, pero lo hemos conseguido, parece. Pues nada.
The anomaly. It collapsed.
Yes, we suspected as such.
I don't know what happened.
It was us. We fried the FTL. We wanted to give you as much time as we could. But we let it run too hot for too long.
It appears they've already started another
Es decir,
test.
tardamos
We'll have to
demasiado.
wait until they finish.
Right. When it happened, you know, when the FTL collapsed, I thought...
You thought I wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
So did I.
I was almost okay, you know? With being stuck in this crappy future. So long as it was you and me. But when I saw that FTL burn out, and you didn't come back, just... don't ever do that to me again.
I'll do my best.
Stand by. I'll unseal the door.
Bueno. Esperemos que por lo menos haya servido.
Stand by.
A ver,
Dr. Harlan.
doctor.
You're here.
Doctor, how is the cure progressing?
Quickly. I was right. The data you captured in the past was precisely what we needed to complete the gene sequence. We're running one more test to be sure. But I think we may have a solution.
That was fast.
From where I'm sitting, it's about 4 centuries overdue.
I would think by now we can all agree time is a relative construct.
What's that?
New parameters are set. We're ready to run the next test.
Do it.
A ver. Vale, se activa.
Give me real-time status on the monitors.
Parece que lo está haciendo. Vale. Fríe la biomasa y lo deja como si fuera cemento.
It worked.
It worked.
Just like that.
It's right there on the monitor. Zero metabolic activity. We did it.
Congratulations, Doctor.
We should refrain from celebrating just yet.
We still need to determine how the treatment affects human subjects.
You really think there's that big of a risk?
It's possible. We can't know for certain until we conduct a proper test.
Apollo's right. We need to run a human trial. Juno, prep the biobed. I'll feed you the parameters.
Affirmative, Doctor.
What do you think you're doing?
Taking my medicine.
Shouldn't we at least discuss it first?
There is no discussion.
Eso es.
I have to
Ya
be
no
the
discutirlo.
one. Chasing down this cure has been my life's work.
Right. And if something goes wrong, we're going to need your brain to fix it.
Captain Rhodes is right, Doctor. If you die, no one here would be able to carry on your work.
It's got to be me.
Ay,
I agree. Liv is the more rational choice. However, under the circumstances, I find myself compelled to ignore rationality.
It's okay, Jack. This is the right call.
Juno, retract the
así que ahora se va a convertir en rata de laboratorio.
Tell me how this is going to work?
We expose the biomass in your system to a low-level energy pulse of a very specific wavelength.
No sé por qué esto me suena cuando lo del...
Metabolic processes, causing it to wither and die.
Think of it like a self-destruct command embedded in the biomass's base DNA.
Whoever designed it knew what they were creating and wanted a way to stop it if it ever got out of control.
Is this going to hurt?
If I said yes, would it change your mind?
Okay. Let's do it.
I want to take a moment to triple-check the math before we begin.
Whatever you have to do.
I'll let you know when we are ready. Juno?
Yes, of course.
Jack? Come here. Give me your hand. It's okay to be scared.
Was that intended for you or me?
Yes. Jack, look at me. This is going to work. Oh, God, now don't you start. Go on. It'll be all right.
Captain Rhodes? We're ready if you are.
I'm good. Let's go.
Confirmed. Initiating counterpulse emission now.
Oh,
Liv.
it's all right. I'm okay.
Vital signs are stable. Metabolic pathways in the infected cells are failing.
It's working.
Oh,
Cellular saturation in 10 seconds.
Are you sure you're all right?
yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
5 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Y ya está.
That's it. Shut it down.
Lynn, are you all right?
I'll say one thing. I'm never going to complain about those fabricators again. Well, what's the story? Did it work?
Go ahead. Tell her.
Infection cleared.
Oh my god.
All traces of the biomass forms have been neutralized.
Apollo, is it acceptable to celebrate now?
It certainly appears so, yes.
Harlan, thank you.
Yes. Well, good then. So long as we are just floating here, do you mind if we keep walking? Now that we know the counterpass works, we should start working on better ways to administer it.
Harlan?
We'll need both focused and wide dispersion methods.
Dr. Harlan.
Let's draw up some schematics and feed them to the fabricators.
I already have a number of ideas that I think could serve.
Harlan.
What?
The treatment,
Le toca.
Harlan? You still have to undergo the procedure.
Right. Yes, of course.
Juno, can you prep the bed for another dispersion?
It's already done.
Very well.
Would you like Jack to hold your hand as well?
Start the procedure.
Very well. Stand by.
Harlan, are you alright? Juno.
Vitals nominal. Blood pressure slightly elevated, but still within acceptable limits. Heart rate 103 and rising.
Harlan?
Keep going.
Blood pressure spiking.
Lleva
10 seconds to cellular saturation.
Something's wrong.
5 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Pues parece que no funciona con él.
Vital
A lo
stabilizing.
mejor llevaba demasiado tiempo infectado.
Well, I've had worse experiences. Though at the moment I can't really think of any.
Harlan.
What?
Captain Rhodes?
What is it? What's wrong?
It didn't work. The biomass survived the treatment.
Harlan.
Juno, get me out of here.
I'll reset the biobed. We can try again.
No.
Perhaps the metrics were somehow altered between the two tests.
Juno.
Or maybe some cases simply require more than one cycle before clearing.
Juno, stop.
This isn't right. The treatment should have cleared both of us.
Apollo,
Yes, Doctor?
the biomass sample we were testing earlier, where was it from?
That particular sample was extracted from the wreckage of the Astrea.
So it was the more primitive strain.
That is correct.
I need a specimen from this time period. Something off the station.
I believe there is a sample from the research facility already seated in the cradle.
Rotate the sample into position.
Affirmative.
Es decir, va a funcionar con los originales, pero no con los
Ready
evolucionados.
to execute.
Do it.
Con los especímenes evolucionados, esos resisten.
It's working. The sample is withering.
Wait.
No. Se recupera.
Treatment. Ineffective.
Yeah, you don't say.
Apollo, analysis.
I'm still parsing the data, but it would appear the treatment only managed to temporarily suspend the biomass's metabolic pathways, rather than terminate them.
The future strain's resisting the treatment.
Correct. The treatment eliminates the biomass from the past, but any form from this time period, it will only paralyze. Though at the moment, I can only speculate as to why this might be the case.
It's because it evolved. The biomass in the Astrea is still developing, still vulnerable. But the strain from this time period has been running rampant for 4 centuries. Nora was right. There really is no stopping it.
Bueno, habría una manera.
We're too late.
Only by about 100 or 200 years.
So that's it. We failed.
Pues podría volver hacia el pasado. De nuevo.
Harlan?
Does he want us to follow him?
I have no idea. But I'm going to.
A lo mejor se le ha ocurrido alguna otra idea.
Harlan?
Otra sería ir al pasado. He ido por aquí. A ver, allí está. Bueno. ¿Dónde está? ¿Estará aquí arriba? Ahí está. A ver.
We didn't fail. We just learned something new. We learned there's a window, a certain point in time wherein the biomass was still vulnerable, when it could be stopped.
Yeah, that point's long past.
You're right. If only we had some way to travel back in time.
Transmitting Jack's protocols back in time won't help us here, Doctor.
It's also impossible without a working FTL.
For that plan to work, Jack would have to physically bring a counterpulse device back with him. Something he can't do digitally.
I'm not talking about digital time travel.
Oh, I see.
Where have I seen this before?
I believe that is one of the Astrea's FTL drives. I recall seeing a number of them while retrieving the fuel cell from the wreckage.
Eso.
What do you think, Apollo? Could it work?
I'll need to run some models, but it's possible.
What the hell are you two on about?
I'll explain everything once Jack and I are on our way to the Astrea.
We'd best get moving.
Hold on! No one's going anywhere until one of you gives me something resembling an explanation.
Captain Rhodes.
No, if you want to send Jack back out to that plague-infested garbage scow, you have to at least give a reason.
And we will. The longer we wait, the less chance we have to succeed. Captain, I know I've already asked far too much of you both, but I have taken this as far as it can go. I need your help to finish it.
Oh. What do you need us to do?
Jack, you and I will make our way back to the Astrea's drive bay. You'll need my assistance to unlock the FTL housing. Captain Rhodes, if you would remain here with Dr. Harlan, there's some specialized equipment you'll need to fabricate and assemble.
Oh. Brilliant.
Opening airlock.
Vale. Y yo creo que lo vamos a dejar aquí. Ya son las 4. Había dicho a las 3 de dejarlo. Y ya son las 4. Así que yo creo que ya ha sido suficiente. Ha sido 4 horas. 4 horas de directo. Espérate que no se haya. No se nos ha ido tampoco a esto. Pero bueno. Han sido 4 horas de directo. No ha estado nada mal, ¿eh? En cantidad de tiempo. Y yo creo que nos queda la traca final. Y me da la impresión de que lo que van a querer es que viajemos físicamente al pasado de nuevo, como lo hizo la Astrea cuando se llevó la biomasa. Así que, pues nada, lo vamos a ir dejando aquí hoy. Lo dicho, porque ya es tardísimo. Así que, muchísimas gracias a quienes hayáis estado. Y la verdad es que, como siempre os digo, se os aprecia a todos. Así que muchísimas gracias por haber estado aquí. Y hasta la próxima. Y recordad que mañana, antes de cortar, lo digo, Mañana tenemos exploración de VRChat, el café virtual. Recordad que tenemos un Discord por si algunos queréis unir para saber cuándo nos conectamos, qué mundos, y también estamos dejando en ese servidor de Discord, estamos dejando enlaces a mundos, enlaces a recursos de avatares y otro tipo de material para VRChat. Así que si os apetece verlo, como recordatorio os pongo los enlaces, que lo podéis ver desde, si estáis viendo en la plataforma de TikTok, lo podéis ver directamente en mi perfil, y en el resto de plataformas le vamos a decir al bot que nos lo enseñe. Así que muchísimas gracias a los que habéis estado por aquí y hasta la próxima. Venga, pasad buen día, buena noche, dependiendo de qué zona seáis, buena tarde. Así que hasta la próxima. Bueno, hasta luego. Oh. Y como siempre me pasa, Leslie, muchísimas gracias por los detalles. Y siempre pasa lo mismo, que no me lo marca.